Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Welcome to yet another amazing live stream. Let me know where you are joining me from. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Hi, Menet Knowledge. Your name is hard to say. How are you doing? Happy to see you in the stream. Heru, how are you doing? Afia for food. Really? Happy to see you in the stream. Hi, Jabali. How are you doing? Happy to see you in the stream. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Hit the like button as you're coming in. I would love to know who's in the stream and where you're joining me from. Let me also share out the stream. Sharing is caring. Go ahead and share out the stream. Hi, Eunice. How are you doing? Nana, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Hit the like button as you are coming in. Let me also share out the stream. 9-1, how are you doing? I'm at work but watching. Thank you so much, Nana. How's everybody doing? Where are you joining me from? Let me know in the comment section. Hi, Jasmine from Miami. Tiders, habari yako, mzuri sana. How are you doing? Hit the like button, share out the stream so we can have more people participating. Today we're going to talk about why do Africans move abroad. I know this is a topic somebody had mentioned or suggested it some time back on this channel. They were like, okay, why do some Africans move abroad? And to join us today, we have someone who will be joining us in this conversation. But before then, let me just know where you're joining me from and keep hitting that like button. Hit that like button. Let me know where you are joining me from. I'm doing well. Hope you are well. Yes, I am. Salvador, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining the stream. Hit the like button as you are coming in. Our guest is delaying. Our guest is delaying, but we can, as we wait for our guest, I can, maybe for those, I know a number of Africans here on this channel, on this platform, who are living abroad. I'll just drop the link as we're waiting for our guest. Some technical issues, but I'm dropping the link in the comment before our guests come. I know Salvador, you could join us. Eunice, a number of you know you're living abroad. Why do you think Africans move abroad? Why do Africans move abroad? A lot of times we talk about how this kind of movement causes brain drain, and sometimes we talk about people moving due to lack of opportunity. So for this one, I would really love to hear from people who really moved abroad. Why did you move abroad? Is it because of opportunity? Is it because of lack of the correct information? Because I know there's some who've moved in the past, they shared on how they came to realize that it is not what they expected. And then obviously, there are some who probably moved and they feel that's the best decision they ever made. Hi, Audrey, how are you doing? Success Nation, how are you doing? Marvelous. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining the stream. Hit that like button as you are coming in. For the stats, I never inherited land. What do you mean, marvelous? What do you mean? Did you move because you never inherited land? Hit the like button as you're coming in. As we're waiting for our guest, I would love to hear Success Nation. Why did you move abroad? I would love to hear from. I would love to hear from you. We're having some little technical issue that we're going to deal with. But in the meantime, I know we have a number of Africans here who've moved abroad. Why did they move abroad? My father moved abroad because he received a scholarship. And all right, your father moved. And was it what you expected? Did it meet the expectation? Did it meet the expectation? Let's hear from somebody as we're waiting for our guest. Hi, Success Nation.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I am well.
Why did you move abroad?
You know what? When you're a Liberian, that's a very good question to ask. The reason I moved abroad was because of the war that Liberia had going on. And when we had that war, the civil war that we had for 14 years, a lot of us got dispersed out there. We were looking for a place of safety, place of safety, place of opportunity, place of good education. Those are the things that we were looking for. Many of us are scattered, like in the United States, in the UK, I mean, name it, Australia, we're Canada, we're everywhere because of the war. And so this is how I end up here. Because my dad had moved over here during the war, and then eventually we were able to escape as well to come here. So we came here for safety. We came here for I guess educational opportunities, just to become more um to be more safe first. Secondly, to be I guess educated, or to get the American dream, the
Okay.
so-called American dream.
All right. All right. Let's hear from somebody else. Hey, Marvin.
How you doing?
Good. What about you?
My journey started because, like I was saying, my family side we never inherited land, so we all had to migrate to at least gain wealth, to gain a start. So that's one of the reasons why I started traveling. But the key thing among my travels and knowledge was that I've realized that in trying to build yourself in this life, everything leads right back to land. So one of the key aspect was owning a property in other parts of the country where we were living were extremely expensive, so you needed to move to somewhere where the currency was a bit higher. So this was one of the key reason for moving, because outside of Europe or America, they don't really offer you that opportunity for you to start. It's very difficult for you to get that opportunity because it goes in a way of either someone or your family. That's it's a bit segregation down there. So yeah, the key reason was just to make sure that you can get that foundation, that start.
Okay. I don't understand that part of saying you didn't own land. So were you forced out? Is it that you are forced out of the land?
No, well, originally I'm from the Caribbean, so you have to understand that when you're from the Caribbean islands, right? When slavery was over, the coastal area was owned by whites. The entire islands were owned by the Queen, and they labeled it as Crown land. Now, in order for you, on an island, slavery has been abolished. The whites are ruling the coast. They send you deep into the interior. You don't have land papers. If your family, you have to start off in deep into the interior with zero, because the land that you actually own belongs to the Queen at that time still. So basically, my great grandparents, they had nothing to pass on.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at just I'm second generation free. My grandmother was born free. My great grandmother was a slave. My grandmother just turned 92 days ago, or 3 days ago it was. She turned 90 years old. So you see, you're just looking at two generations trying now to start back from zero, because the white people, they never gave us anything. Remember, all those lands in the Caribbean and South America, they owned it. If I was probably born in Africa, I might have had something. But in the Caribbean, they played stingy with us. And even today, as we speak right now, there are people in the Caribbean who are labeled as squatters. When you look at Jamaica, there's a lot of places. Even right now, there's a huge argument over some land where the Rastafarian, I think it's called Cockpit something, but I can't remember the name of it, but a lot of places. So you see, the Queen is one of the largest landowner in the world, and people don't really realize that. And that's one of the key movements of why people from the Caribbean move. Because if you ask a lot of people from the Caribbean, what are you doing over here? They'll tell you, listen, I need money to build a house. And then after that, they'll open a small business, and they will live their life. So that's really the reason, because from the beginning, we inherited nothing, like zero. So now we're trying to level this basically. And you cannot, if you want to buy land like in these places, extremely expensive. It's actually really and truly, to be honest, it's cheaper for me to live in Europe than to live in the Caribbean. That's how it is in a form of buying land. You can go to Europe, Spain, Italy, all these places, right? You can get a piece of land for like 10,000 euro. You cannot get that in Caribbean. No way. So, it's a difficult process.
Okay, so basically, you went to work to get money to purchase land.
That's correct. Listen, when you're doing business, and I'll explain this to you. The greatest wars in the world was fought over land. White people has been fighting over land for years. In fact, they go to people's land, they see them, they ignore them and take it over. Okay, it's land, everything revolves around. You open a restaurant, guess what? You're going to have a landlord, right? That landlord owns the building. They can increase the rent on you. So the
Mm-hmm.
key thing, no matter what you do, gold, diamond, where does it come from? The land. Land is one of the greatest assets. I've learned about all sorts of businesses, and I realized they all go right back to what? Land, God's creation. In fact, my advice to everyone is go after God's creation. Whatever God has created, that will be the best money to keep. Land, gold, diamond, oil, all of these things, timber, all of these things, God's money is very valuable. It's going to be valuable until life goes on. For instance, if you go into any other business, say you go into marketing, or you go into stocks and any of these things, they will die after a while. But God's product will be here until you and I pass on. That means your kids will have it. So if you have 10 acres of land, guess what? Your kids can still inherit that. But if you leave your kids now, say, stocks or bonds, or, some of the useless new things that they bring out these days, that can die after a while. You leave your kid a supermarket, that can die. But if you leave your kid that piece of land, the property on it, or somewhere that has, a river or something, these things, they grow into value and they are more useful to us.
Okay, a question we'll start with, okay, I think I'll ask you and then we'll go to Success Nation. Don't you think that, or do you feel that Africans spend most of their productive years when they're young and energetic, working in the West, only to return when they cannot be able to, like, really physically contribute so much to the country?
Is that to me?
Yeah, you can start and then we can hear from our brother.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, this is the problem that most of us Africans, our older generation, are having. When we move here, when we go to the West or wherever we might be, we will spend, like you said, our entire life working enslaving for, hold on.
Okay, let's hear from Marvin.
Okay, yes, we do go abroad and in our key years, and this is one of the biggest hustles in the world. I call it human trafficking. Our political leaders and our parents are the biggest human traffickers in the world. One of the issues is that we as black people, we don't practice group security. You see, one brother will have one idea that he wants to live in this area, another cousin wants to live that area, the mother wants to live at this area. If you look at a family tree, it's not much people in a family tree that wants to move in the same direction. Each individual wants to go and do their own thing. So you find that as African people within our young years, we do give it to the system, which is bad. So we basically are prostitutes of the system, but we cannot see it in our reality because we use their reality to define our thinking. So it's a terrible, terrible situation. Very terrible. But yeah, what to do? We slowly will learn the truth and understand, how to use our mindset to think for ourselves and, take our reality out of, what's really going on and see the truth.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Success Nation.
Yeah, so they come and they will work their whole life thinking that they have this dream, but the thing is, the dream do not involve. It doesn't. Africa is not in the dream. That's what happens, right? Like our parents or our great parents that came here, they keep on working, they keep on working, they keep on working, but they're not building. Like it's just now that people start to, pay more attention to Africa because sometimes the system have you lock in for life, and you got to fight hard to get out of the system, right? Because if our parents come here and all they're doing is working, they're not building, they're not going back home, and then you get old, Now they're ready to go back home because the retirement that they thought they were going to get is nothing. And now they look at themselves, they have not built anything back home. Now you don't have nothing to give but to go back home and go die. And then guess what? Then your children will come and repeat that same cycle because why? This is what they see mommy and daddy do. So now we're giving to this system, we're giving, and we get nothing back. By the way,
Okay,
we
okay. I think
we get
someone is
nothing.
calling you.
We're nothing back, right? And so
Yeah.
we're working and working, and then we too gonna get old, and we're gonna go back to Africa. Or some people say, when I die, I don't want to die here. Oh, don't bury me here. Take my body back to Africa. But why didn't you build Africa? Don't like another brother has said on one of your show. Don't Africa is not a graveyard. Don't we shouldn't just be going over there to go be buried. We should be building so that our children can have the necessity, the life that they need to have. And this is why I'm so grateful for this generation, because we are different. We are a different breed.
All right, all right. Yeah, I say I've seen someone Prince in the comment section is saying some people think Africa is a nursing home or a cemetery. I think he's referring to the, yeah, I know a lot, especially Africans, we have this attachment. Like when someone dies, um, they have to bring them to the continent or to their home, to their village to go and bury them. So someone would work, and maybe they would just wait, like, or when they die, or they can just decide to work there forever, but they choose to live their life, all their life there, but they'll make it clear that when they die, they don't want to be buried abroad, they want to be buried in Africa. Let's hear from the way. Hello.
Hello, family. It's a very good topic. Very good question. My
Did
my dad
you?
actually is. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and answer that. I have a
Oh,
question for you.
okay. Yeah, my dad actually is from Nigeria, and so he came to the United States, I think in his like late 20s, and he came because the um to prosper, I guess the opportunities that he said he would find out here, and a lot of people, they leave the motherland, they leave their countries in Africa because of the corruption that is within them. And in a lot of cases there's a lot of corruption, and um that's what prevents the nations from actually being able to prosper and to build a solid foundation for the youth that's coming up and for the generations to come. There's a lot of corruption, and so when you look more at the Western countries, from that perspective, they don't see the corruption in these Europe, in these Western countries, or going over to Europe. They don't see the corruption, even though there is corruption. It's at a different, it's covered up more so than in Nigeria. You can blatantly see it in other African countries. You blatantly see the corruption where projects that have been paid for are not being finished. And you look at the school systems and certain things, and it's not up to the par that it should be. And so I know a lot of people that leave, you know those countries in Africa. They leave because of the corruption and because of the lack of opportunity that the corruption causes to happen. And so for me, that's what I see as one of the major reasons why our people leave abroad. They leave the country to come to the United States or Europe or even China. Because everything looks good. The opportunities are there, and they don't see the corruption at the same level as they do in Africa.
Okay. So, do you think it's moving abroad due to corruption and in these various African countries? Is that our solution? Like, so someone moves abroad to go get opportunities, and then they later on come, when they come back, when they decide to come, ain't they just coming back to the same problem that they were escaping?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That's a really good question because the answer is no. It's not a solution. You know, it can be a temporary. If you're just looking out for self, it can be a solution for an individual. But if you're talking about your country as a whole, or the continent
Yeah.
as a whole, it's not a solution.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's not a solution.
Wow. I think there is an issue with your network, your connection. It's cracking.
It
So you can check on that. You can
fix
check
the
on that.
problem. Somebody had called in on my phone.
Hello.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. Yeah, so we need to take the steps. The solution is not to leave the land. The solution is to get rid of the corruption. The solution is to begin to speak about these things and begin to build the morality of people and individuals. We have to we have to have leaders who are not self-driven and seeking
Mhm.
self. To be a leader is to serve. To be a leader is to be a servant of the people. And we have to come with that mentality. Even it says in the Bible, it says the greatest among you shall be a servant. So when we see the value in serving one another, we will truly be able to uplift ourselves and our people all together. I like to, any 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 weak link in the chain makes the entire chain useless. Because
Okay.
you go to pull a heavy load and the chain breaks
All
and you
right.
lose that load and it can cause destruction. And so we need to be able to make sure that we don't have weak links. We need to make sure that we build up the morality of the generations coming up to understand that it's about serving one another. That when we do this, when we have this mentality, corruption cannot come. It's difficult for corruption to come in when you have a mentality to serve your brothers and sisters, because you're going to do what's right for one another. And
All
if
right.
we can get that mentality in the African continent, if we can get it in the countries that we know are dealing with um, European and Chinese American influences, as far as the political realm, we
Okay.
can bring we can bring change.
All right, all right. Scandy, let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. Hit that like button. We have 81 people watching. Our likes are pretty low. In case you forgot to hit the like button, hit that like button. Support the stream. Hit the super chat. We're having some technical issues with Phrankleen, so we're just carrying on with the conversation until he joins us. Question. You Another question to everybody on the panel. We mentioned about Africans who are going because of all these issues. Is this the same issues? Because we very well know that there are some Africans who go and they decide that they are not going to come back at all. Why do you think some don't want to come back at all? Can you call it a form of denying yourself, denying who you are, denying your origin? What's your take on that, Success Nation?
Oh, this is a great question. um, it's definitely one to think about. You know what? I think part of it is like, okay, part of it is someone who is lost. Okay, first you have to be completely lost and don't know yourself, so just
Mm-hmm.
turn your back on your land. And a part of it is also that people, like in my country, a lot of people lost all their family members in the war, and so when they think about going back, it brings terror. Like, I don't have nobody to go back to. So going back to the land, it's going to be like nightmare, you know. So it will be better off to just leave it behind and don't have to worry about it no more. But yeah, so there are several reasons why people will completely don't want to return back. Some people say it's because of their family, it's because people jealous them, or whatever the case might be. There are so many different reasons why somebody will just want to stay um in the West and don't want to come back home. But the thing is that you don't got to come back to the place that your family are. You can go on the other side. Like, you know, it's not like a little box where everybody just so squeezed together. You can be on on the whole total side of the country where your family might not be. But yeah, that would be some of the reasons why people don't want to go back. But then again, when you make that decision, it's a daily one for us to make, because then we lose our freedom in making that decision, especially if it's not because of a terror or anything like that. If it's because of family, or if because, you know, of any other reason, you know, we are robbing ourselves of the complete freedom. We are robbing ourselves of life when we choose to make this decision of staying in the West, because there's no
Mhm.
life here for us. We work, we give it back. We work, we give it back. It's a slave, you know, regardless of if we recognize it or not, we're all enslaved. It's just modern day slavery.
Okay. Let's hear from Marvin.
In my opinion, most people don't return back because number one, there is no collective security in the family. As I said earlier on, a cousin wants to do one thing, the mother wants one thing, father wants one thing, brother and sisters are looking for different things, whether it's to migrate to a different country or to start a business or where to live in terms of location. So there's no that individual is not really feeling part of something. So when he comes into the system now and he seeps into that system, which whether it be America, Canada, England, he tends to go into a comfort zone. So that makes him not want to go back. Then also he or she has no vision. So when you talk about Africa to them, they don't know what to do, where to go, where to start. Lack of vision. And also, when that person seeps into the system, they're so accustomed being a worker bee, being a slave to the system. That's what they know. So they get accustomed to it and they're okay with it. Like Success Nation just said, there, it's modern day slavery, and whether we like to believe it or not, there are a lot of people, especially black people, that are okay with being an economical slave. Last but not least, a lot of us who migrate from our homelands and come into the system, we have no working capital to go back home. Like Success Nation just said again, you work, you spend it out. So a lot of people they don't have the capital to start anything. So that leaves them with an absent minded of not having a working knowledge of, okay, I have a skill, how can I just go into Africa with that skill and build up? They don't have that working knowledge, that strategic knowledge. Because you see, yes, what you need money when you're going into a business, but not much people understand that access is more important than money and other principles of business. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, let's hear from the way Emeka.
Yeah, so from what I know a couple of reasons. They've kind of touched one already, is that people get comfortable here, they build their family here, and they're so used to the society here and they like how things are going, that they kind of stay here just for that. Um the way the Western world functions is a huge, you know to them, it's something that they cling on to. When it comes to denying your people, and to what you asked, sometimes there is that denial. Sometimes they look back and they see the people on the African continent, they see them not doing as well as they would like to see them, and they feel like there's something wrong with their people, and so that's why they choose to stay in the Western, or European, or these nations in China and certain things. They see that these people, they function together and they work together to accomplish a lot. And so when they look at their people, they kind of feel ashamed because they know. I mean, Africa has, you know, a lot of muscle power. We have a lot of the power is there. The manpower in African countries is there to build the world's most powerful, you know, continent, the most powerful empire. But our people don't work together, and so I think when they see that, they see that how our people do not work together in these things, it's frustrating, and it prevents them from returning home. You know, because they return home and then they're around it 24/7, and people complaining, and you know, just the things that go on in the nations is not pleasing to the sight or to the ears, and so they stay away from it. Another thing that keeps the second thing that keeps a lot of people out, because there are people who want to go back, but because of the health care, they see the health in the West, they see the health in European countries, you know, and maybe even like in China and certain countries, and they see that the healthcare system is a lot more reliable and stable and built. It has a very good infrastructure. So the healthcare system is another reason why a lot of people, for instance, my father has diabetes, and so he is somebody who will stay out. He, you know, his thing is, if I go back, you know, home and I stay there, you know, I'm not going to be taken care of like I would out here in the United States. So when healthcare comes into play as well, and if we can, you know, do some things about the healthcare system, I think it would bring a lot of our people back to the continent if our health care service, you know, increased in its quality, being able to meet the demands of those that are in need. You know, if we could, if the healthcare system could come, you know, could the quality could be raised up to a much higher standard, I think a lot of people that are abroad would come back home.
Oh, well, I get it. I get your point of view. But of course, I know healthcare, not every place though has healthcare issues like conditions like, okay, I don't know, but I think there's just healthcare, there's good healthcare across a number of countries in the continent. The only thing is you must have insurance. It is not free. For minor things, checks and all that in the government hospitals, it is free. But yeah, but for maybe for those who need surgeries and all that, it could be a little bit expensive. So you must always have your health insurance, because I think paying out of pocket for healthcare expenses is very expensive. So we've also, I think somebody also mentioned the issue of brain drain. What do you think would be the best way to tackle brain drain? Let's start with Success Nation. Kindly let's get our likes up. Hit that like button in case you didn't like the video. Support the stream. Hit the super chat. Pan Africanism strikes back. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate. Success Nation. How do we tackle the brain drain?
Okay, the what? The brain drain?
Yeah, brain drain.
How do we tackle that?
Yeah.
Well, we as a race, first I need to hold on. I'm sorry. Let me can somebody else get it real quick? Let me.
Okay. Let's hear from Marvin.
To deal with brain drain, one of the key things I think that, you know, this individual needs to do is associate themselves with the right people. Try to associate yourself with, you know, I wouldn't say successful people, but people who are making things happen. Because when someone is too successful, when they're at a certain pedestal, they choose a circle. So find someone that's making moves in Africa, making moves in your country and other countries in Africa, so that you can now get the knowledge and see how the train is moving. So you can figure out to yourself as an individual what part of that train you can be, you know, because you see, people is like an engine, and engine has different parts. So fair enough, you might not have a degree and you cannot go back to Africa and be a banker, but there must be something that you can tap into as an individual. And each individual, they have naturally given by nature. So when you start being around people that are making moves and like-minded, you will be able to figure out and tap in to that natural, natural gift that you have, so you can have an idea of what you want to go into do in Africa, but also you can be inspired. You can ask for advice. You can start talking to people and knowing, hey, learning from their mistakes so that you cannot do it. You see, when we want to change ourselves and, move forward and do certain things to get rid of the brain drain, there is a certain protocol and way we have to live our life. And there's certain things we need to get rid of. And I think personally, when someone taps into, meeting people, they will be shown those things. They will be explained it to them, because certain of us, even if we are told certain things face to face, we need it to be explained to us like you're going to explain something to a 5-year-old. So you will find that that's why you need to be around people that will say, listen, I'm doing this, you can do this, to look at me, I'm doing this, I'm going to this area, this is what happened. Because I realize one thing with Black people is that they like to see things first before they jump on it. And it's craziness. But that's just, how we choose to be, because once again, the system that we run into, we just grooved into it, and we made it take over our minds, and we made it, we made it the order of our day. So now we don't even know how to think for ourselves. And this is what, if an individual who is from outside, from the continent, needs to realize that, listen, you're being brainwashed. So what you need to do to get rid of all that brain and all that negative energy and all that headache that, they put in, that dead weight the system is dropping on you, change what you're doing. Put your essence and your energy in a different direction now. Like people always say, if everyone is going, go right, just try different things until you figure out what will really work for you and what brings you joy, natural joy. Yeah, that's my opinion.
All right, all right. Kindly let's get the likes up. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Chris L, you say you are neglecting the most important factor of infrastructural foundation, and that is electricity. I think there's this assumption that every African country maybe doesn't have electricity. I would for sure tell you electricity is not an issue here in Kenya. And if there has to be, like most of the time when there's like power blackout, it's very rare to find that you have 24 hours of no power. In fact, whenever they are doing the maintenance or upgrading the line, the power lines and all that, you'll get notification. If you follow them, you follow their social platforms and all that, you'll find that they've notified, they've written a list of the places where there will be power blackout, from what time to what time, and why it is going. And they'll also give you a reason why there'll be power blackout. It won't just disappear. And if suddenly, and if anything happened, which is, I think, can happen anywhere, if anything happens and there's just a sudden power blackout, they'll obviously give a statement and tell you, oh, today this and this led to this sudden loss of power. We're working on restoring this. So it's not everywhere where we have power blackouts and all that. Sometimes it could even be a local issue. Maybe my apartment has an issue, but it's not like the power company. So it's the management that we need to contact to deal with that. So power is not like, I don't think power is an issue as such in Kenya, but there could be places where maybe power is an issue. So let's hear from Emeka. Brain drain.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with I think it was Brother Marvin. You definitely want to connect with those that are alike, and start making the connections. I think that's the biggest thing, is finding people that are in the have similar goals for Africa, have similar backgrounds, have the knowledge of certain particular industries, and coming together and actually making plans. I think it's that the conversation goes so far, but we can't always continue talking. At some point, we have to begin to plan. So to take the necessary steps to link up with one another that have similar backgrounds, intelligence in certain fields is very, very important. And just to exchange the information and begin to move, begin to take steps, begin to plan, just from basic and simple things, and that way, if there's funds that need to be gathered, then they can begin to seek the funds once they have a solid plan. Once people come together with a solid plan, then they can begin to say, okay, who do we reach out to for funding? How can we take the necessary steps? Where do we begin? What area do we begin in? What city, what village can we begin to do? Even start small scale and scale up as you grow in confidence of your plans. So that's where, for me, that's where we need to be as a people. Is okay. I've heard it mentioned before. Speaking is one thing, but then you need to begin to act on what we speak. And so just taking that time to make the right connections. Don't be intimidated. Everybody will have something to offer, and if somebody, if people are on similar pages and similar levels of understanding, it's more hands on deck that you have. So I really think that we just need to take that time and build the connections, exchange information with one another in certain areas. That way we can begin to start making things happen.
All right, all right. I get your point. Success Nation, you have something to add on the issue of brain drain. Kindly let's get the likes up. Let's get the
Yes.
likes up.
Yes, I'm back. Yes. The issue with brain drain, I think I just heard the brother talk about the whole um us coming together, right? Us making a plan, like-minded people. So, like today, I just joined our African plan. Our African plan, it takes this platform to action. Like every one of us who are here, we're talking, right? We're having this great conversation, but what it's doing is it takes it to another level where we're like the brother just said, why we're not just talking, but we're actually taking the action, exchanging information with one another, being a part of the plan. What is the plan? We all understand the plan, right? We all want to be a part of the plan, but right now we're just different individuals, just spread out everywhere, and we all have the one great idea that you says you have created the platform to come up with this amazing ideas and amazing things that we can do. But then our African plan brings that to reality. So I think that for me, being with like-minded people, looking for where the plan is, being a part of the plan, and moving it and gearing into action with it. Do you know how great it feels? Like if every one of us joined our African plan, and that way we know as a unity, as a people of color, we know we have all came together on this platform and we have all established this thing. I know it makes me feel good because it's moving us to the next level. This is why when you leave this platform, some of us we can't even go and talk to our brothers or our sisters about this, what we're discussing right now, because their mindset is not like us. They will look at you like you're crazy. What Africa? What you talking about? So when we come together, we have to start talking with each other. We have to start exchanging numbers, coming up with the plans, joining the plans, making the move. This is how we fix the brain drain. Because if not, if I just come on here and I talk, and then when the life is over, I going on with my normal life. I'm over here talking, things that don't even matter. Then I'm just being foolish. I don't want to be a foolish person. Be people of actions. So we need to move. Everybody need to move. We need to sign up for the plans, the African plans, our African plan, and then then you feel like your voice count. Not only are you speaking, but you're also moving.
Of
Let's
course.
move, people. Let's move it.
Okay, I've seen, Chris, you mentioned that there's a major issue with power, that is electricity in West African nations. You said about Ghana and Nigeria, and you also mentioned in Kenya. In Kenya, for sure, I would tell you it's not an issue, and it's not just the capital that has electricity. Even the villages, you'd be even surprised that people who live in mud houses, houses of mud, they still have they have electricity. There was this project that was known as the last mile, I think. Yeah, so they connected it to the very rural and interior places. So electricity even in the village is not an issue. Maybe the thing that might be an issue in some villages, it is the issue with maybe internet connection in some places. Yes, it might be an issue. So but when you look at it, when you're talking about this the issue of lack of power, lack of electricity in these places, don't you think this should actually be an opportunity? I mean, this is actually an opportunity for someone who is entrepreneurial to come and seek, as someone who's entrepreneurial, to come and seek, how can I call it, to come and build. And apart from that, contributing in building the community, it will also contribute in, yeah, it will, you also make revenue out of it. You for once, if maybe you've never owned a business, you've never owned a company, you've never had lots of money, so you can easily do that, you will definitely have you'll make the money, and then you'll be building the community. I mean, that's the one way that you could actually look at it. And how can the Africans who've moved abroad deal with the situations that they are escaping from in their countries? So somebody moved abroad because there was a certain issue or a certain situation they were escaping from, corruption and wherever. As they are in the diaspora, when they move from Africa, then the UK, US, or wherever, how can they contribute in the country, or in dealing, or in helping solve the problem that they were escaping from?
Oh, can I take this one?
Yes.
How they can help with the problem that they are escaping from is by reinvesting back to Africa. Reinvesting back to your country. Build a business there, right? A lot of people say that the place is corrupt. You can't find jobs. You can't do this, you can't do that. But if you build and you become a CEO of your company, you now have the power to give back to your community, to give back to your country, to change the rules that you did not agree with when you were there. So make sure your company do not have corruption. Make sure there be no bribing in your company. So all the things that we complain of, that's how we can fix that issue. But if we come here and we stay here and we want to buy the 300,000 house, the 400,000 house, and we're going to spend about 100 years paying for that, then you can't fix any problem. Then we all too become part of the problem. Because if we're not coming up with solutions, we are part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, invest back into the continent, build, employ people, so that way the people who are there can now have jobs through you. Change the rules of how you want things to be run in that company, and as that company grow, invest in more companies. That way, you now have become the president. Now you have all the powers to make all the rules that you want to make, and now the economics, you no longer have economic issues anymore, because now you are the economy. So each and every one of us need to become the economy.
Okay, let's hear from Marvin. How would you contribute to helping solve the problem that you are escaping? But there's someone 91 says it's not their responsibility to contribute, it's the responsibility of those who stay. I still think the ones who've left the continent and moved, or who've left the country and moved, I believe they have a responsibility to contribute to help solve the problem they were escaping. So look at the ones who, for instance, maybe went due to seek refuge or asylum due to maybe their stand on some political issues. You see, when they're on the other side, it's very easy to voice. They can easily talk about the things that they that are happening without having that threat that someone might just come and they might disappear because they are far away. But because some people might not be able to say certain things because they know they're in the country, and whatever they say, even if it's the truth or exposing some things, they might easily be, they might easily be caught. So I still believe there's a way, and it's also the responsibility of them to contribute or to help solve what they were running away from. If they don't, then what would happen? Everybody else would want to move, everybody else would want to run away. So yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, in my opinion, they can start by donating to civil rights group in their country. You see, whilst you're in the system trying to earn a dollar, there's still people who are back home in your country fighting. You see, one of the key things, and you just said, I totally agree that each and every one of us do have to fight, give back, and help rebuild. Black people like to run away too much. Just like in the comments earlier, or as I think you said, African Tigress, we keep running away. We like to run away, and then we jump on the phone and tell our brothers that we ran away from. Oh, how you back home? How do you survive? I don't know how you can make it back there. It's foolishness. But when you're in the system, try your best to donate to civil rights groups. You see, there's a system that white people live when they give us the so-called independence. It's a system that they left. So there are people who are fighting. Look for these groups and donate whatever little you can towards those civil rights group. That's the first step. Then I also suggest that you find entrepreneurs who want to change the system so it can benefit both sides. So say someone is already making it in your African country, you have a conversation and say, listen, the custom duties is so high, how do you make it? And they obviously will start complaining and crying and say, well, listen, how can we now come together, put our heads together to challenge the government and this as private individuals? So the entrepreneur already has the money, you have the drive. So that's where you give a proposal to them or conversation so that you can start something to fight the system that you ran away from. Also, I would advise people to keep in touch with the young people that are there on the ground. When you keep in touch with those young people, one, you can invest in them. Maybe, at the time when you were in Africa, you wish someone would have been investing in you. So be the change, do it. But also you'll find young people learning the justice system that white people leave in our lands before we left. That justice system is what we need to learn to understand so that we now can find a niche for our prospective countries and have it adjust. A lot of the youths now, they're reading all the Commonwealth laws and all of these books now, and these are the ones you keep in touch with so that they now can teach you about that system so that you can understand towards the direction that can help you and your family in the long run. And that's just my opinion.
All right, thank you so much. Let's hear from Emeka. Hit the like button as you're coming in. Phrankleen is joining us. He's already here. Let's hear from Emeka, then we're going to hear from Phrankleen.
For me, a major thing people can start doing right now is studying the problems. What are the problems first that we need to fix? What are the problems that we need to fix? Once we know what the problems, then we can really truly make a solution. People in the diaspora, they have to have a mindset to fix. And I think someone said it really well. The African continent, the African countries, they're not a graveyard. People are coming to other countries, other developed countries, and they're making a living and they're living there and living there. And the moment they get older and they die, then they want to go, why? You have your connection with the land and the people of the land is not as strong. You know, if it was so, you would stay and you would figure it out. Now, I have no problem with people going into the diaspora to learn, you know,
Mhm.
and to benefit, but come back and bring what you've learned, bring those things back and begin to organize. I think the main thing is that there's so much fear in the in certain African countries that when they come back to organize, they're going to be persecuted or executed. And I think that's where it's really important to know to build up everyone to be a leader, to have the same plan, to have the same goal. Because if they take out me, the next person understands what the goal is and the plan is, and the movement can continue without one individual. You know, when we begin to draw together and come together and have a solid plan that everybody can be accountable for, that everybody knows the plan, everybody says this is the problem we have, this is we all have to come together and this is the plan. When we have that, it makes it hard for somebody to be isolated because everybody knows the plan and everybody's going to be continuing to plan. The people will stand together. And so I think understanding what our problems are, building up the youth to be together, to unite, building up unity, building up love for one another, is key. The foundation, we must have love for our brothers and our sisters so that when we begin to move to bring solutions, we are all on one accord with one another. So I think foundationally, it's morality, bringing back the love, the morality of love to one another, having a value. We have to value our brothers. We have to value our sisters. We have to value our elders. We have to value the youth that's under us, and we can come together understanding what we want to achieve and then begin to implement those things. But it all has to start out with us having that value in one another, loving and respecting our brothers and our sisters. I think at the foundation, once you have that love and appreciation for one another, then you'll learn to look out for one another. So for me, foundationally, we have to have that. And then amongst the diaspora, those that are there will bring back what they have because of the love they have for those in on the continent. And so for me, the foundation is having love for one another first and foremost.
All right, thank you so much. Finally, we have Phrankleen here. Phrankleen, we've been waiting for you for 1 hour. What is your punishment? How do we punish you?
Just give me a hug, man.
Punishment. That is not punishment.
Sorry, I got caught up somewhere. So, yeah, I do apologize.
Mm-hmm. So you are
What's up,
finally,
everybody? What's up, everybody?
you finally here. Thanks that some people had to, contribute as we are waiting for you.
I
So all these
appreciate it.
people need to maybe some little punishment, each and everyone to punish you. Someone says Franklin is on Nigerian time.
Ah.
All right. We're talking about why do Africans move abroad. Of course, I asked you about it. So would love to get your perspective on this. So I don't know if some of my guests, because it's basically we're going to share more or less the same. I don't know if some of my guests who would because we're gonna have like more conversation, basically asking the question that I'd kind of asked them. So I don't know if you would want to stay on or you're gonna drop for the guest Success Nation, Marvin, the way everlasting. But if you decide to drop, that's okay. Let's hear from Phrankleen. Why do Africans move abroad? Why did you move abroad?
Well, why do Africans move abroad? There are a plethora of reasons why people move abroad, but without going into 1,001 reasons why people move abroad, I think there's a major one, which is in search of greener pastures, right? So the idea that if I'm able to migrate from Kenya, from Uganda, from Nigeria, Ghana, and the list goes on. If I get to Europe, if I get to America, I would definitely do well, and that's my gateway to success. And that's pretty much one binding topmost reason why most of us gravitate towards the West. And then, like I said, 9 out of 10 times people are misinformed. You have a completely different perception of what life in the West is. You probably even think, within this space of a year to 5 years, I'll be able to do X, Y, Z. And then you have errors in terms of what the immigration system is, what the system you're going into is. And then when people get into the system, they are slapped in the face by reality. And then the abroad life, you have things like racism, you have daily microaggressions that we then are subjected to. And it's pretty much a vicious cycle. Having said that, because I know some people are going to argue and say, oh, yeah, in the diasporan community, you can see people that are doing well. Let me say this very quickly. Yes, I agree. There are a number of us within, diasporan community who have paid their dues in the West. They might have a thriving business. They have rewarding careers. Maybe they are like lawyers or doctors or whatnot. But I tend to look at this from a wider perspective, if that makes sense. So when you look at the bigger size of the diasporan community, there's a huge amount of people that are really not doing well in the West, if that makes sense. So whilst there might be a handful of people who have lived abroad for X amount of years, and there is this guy works as a solicitor. Oh, that guy, I'm a civil engineer. Oh, I'm a project manager. Or I have this business. I'm selling African food or whatnot. But there is a huge amount of our people, regardless of your nationality, because I believe we are one, that you find easily being the objective word, you find yourself entrapped in the Western system, and 10 years have gone past, 15 years have gone past, 17 years have gone past, 20 years, 25 years, 27 years, and and people are still struggling. Some people can't even boast of a plot of land back in the motherland. And it's like I say, the whole thing is, oh, I'm gonna go abroad. I'm going to become X, Y, Z. And the let me also not forget these very important points. The West, I give it to them. They have this is this system that we live in, that I currently live in. um this was designed donkey years ago, and I give it to these people. The orchestration is unbelievable. It's a system, a framework that they put in place, and it's sugar coated by Western propaganda. That's why you find the Western people, everything about them, everything about the West, everything about them is they are better. Everything about Africa is third, fourth class. And that's how they've kept the system going. I always say this to people: who came up with this labeling about, oh, the third world countries? Somebody like me, it doesn't matter how educated I am in the West, here in the UK. If they're going to address me really, they would say, oh, that guy, oh, from the third world country. So in a society where you live in, where they say the third world country, living in England for donkey years, about people that, they were jokingly in social circles, white folks, they say, oh, is it true that people in Nigeria, that, there are people that walk around the streets in Nigeria, they are butt naked? Oh, do you have electricity? Oh, do you have cars? Because It's all Western propaganda, so that fuels the ignorance. So, and also it also fuels the daily dissemination of, you know, racist treatments that are meted against us on a daily basis. So there is this stereotypically generated perception of black folks. That's why the 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 average white person, right, that has zero education in the West, that can't even write properly on a piece of paper, they look at you with your PhD, they believe they're above you. That's why it doesn't matter if you live in the West for 30 years, 40 years, you have your British passport, you have American passport, you have your whatever passport. They look at you, you are so educated, you can feed 500 charities, whatever you do, we are not seen as part of their system. That's a fact. And the worst part is we have black people that live in this system that are so delusional. They're deluded by um, a bit of comfortability. You know, they've got a home, they're paying their mortgage, they've got what you regard as a nice, cushy job. They can have a bit of savings, take their children on holiday. They drive a nice BMW, a nice Mercedes Benz, and to them, there is nothing good about Africa anymore. You know, Africa, in fact, they are the ones that champion the conversation where social gatherings where white people are. They are the ones that will even be explaining to the slave masters about, oh yeah, the West is better. And this is what I call the Western propaganda. So why do you think they hate the movement that we are part of, that you are part of, African Tigress? We're talking about moving back to the motherland. Because let me explain to you. Racism is economical, right? They don't want us to rise in the system, but they need us to keep the system going. Does that not make sense? They need you and I to keep the system going. They need the black people to keep handling the menial jobs. They need you at the bottom end of the spectrum. They need you to keep their tax system, their economy going. So just imagine here in the UK, I don't know, currently don't know the number of black people that live here. Let's say all black people wake up tomorrow morning and we say, you know what? Africa, here we come. Wash. What do you think is going to happen to Britain's economy within 1 week?
It's gonna collapse.
Crash. They're done. Everything about Britain will just boom. It's a fact. That's why even they're trying, they're doing everything, you know, they can possibly do with regards to, you know, this is why they're making sure, they're trying to do everything to make sure that even Africa, the motherland, is not properly stabilized. It's not habitable. It's basically to keep their system going. We have the best foods. We have the best resource. We have it in Africa. It's look, the worst thing you can do to a man is to strip them of their identity. Let them look at what belongs to them, their background, their history. They know nothing. A man that watches my channel sent me an email the other day. He said, Phrankleen, I love your channel. I love what you talk about. He said, do you know that within 2 generations, like if a parent or your grandparents, they give birth to you, I mean your mom give birth to you, and then you become a parent as well. If all of you are growing up in the West, and those children have not been to Africa, you're disconnected from your roots and stuff, that's it. The identity is gone. How many times would you bump into people in the West? Oh yeah, I'm a British Kenyan. Oh, great, nice to meet you. When was the last time you went to Kenya? Uh, I've never been to Kenya. And you'll be like, wow, you've never been to Kenya, because they've never been. How old are you? I'm 25. But they will tell you, oh, I'm a British Kenyan. What do you know about Kenya? Well, yeah. So just so those generation will then uh, have their own kids. You see what I'm saying? So the only thing we have left is just the skin color, because you will mandatorily be sucked into the completely into the Western system. And this is the brain drain. The system is already there. It's there. You'll be trapped in their system. You get about enough to survive on. This is what I say to people. This system is actually not designed with the black man in mind. No, I'm not going to sit here and try to. That's why I laugh at some of our brothers and sisters. They come here and they're speaking English and they're talking nonsense. And they're glorifying the West. This is not about disseminating hatred. I'm talking constructively and logically. You understand me? This is a system where you and I will fight just for basic things, basic rights, right? That your white counterpart wouldn't even have to think about. We will have to fight and fight in order to earn respect. But your white counterpart will just live their normal life and get on with their lives. Black people have to work 10 times as hard just to gain acknowledgement. So we live in a system where we are being tolerated. Most of us are just delusional and talking about, oh yeah, the West is good, the West is better. Somebody said, how come Phrankleen is still living in the UK? Phrankleen has an exit plan, okay? Don't go ahead of me. You understand me? You don't know what my plans are. Phrankleen is going to go back to Africa at some point. That's a fact. You heard it from here. Okay? So it doesn't matter if I'm still here that I can't have that conversation. Don't get it twisted. You know nothing about my plans. I'm definitely going back to the motherland. Where does Phrankleen live? Is that an African name? Of course, Phrankleen is not an African name. My first name, my African name is Oyedeji. All right? There's some of you here that you go ahead of yourself. Ask me constructive questions, please. Don't come here and try to be a smartass. Me, I'm very hot, or I'll cut you straight. Okay, I'm not here. I am not. Look, I've lived in the West for so long, but I am not Westernized. I'm an African. I'm a son of the soil. So don't come here. There's some of you African American brothers. Don't come here and do all that stuff. You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about Africa. Don't even go in that direction, please. Let's be civil. Don't come here and play games with me. When I was born, I was actually born in what do you call it? I was born in Paris, in France. My father gave me the name Phrankleen. I think he named me after his childhood friend, and he called me Phrankleen. Franklin is my middle name. My first name is Oyedeji. That's my Yoruba name. You understand me? So don't come here. Oh, why are you cool? Why is your name Phrankleen? You sound like a white man. Nah, man. I don't identify with it. On my passport, my first name. If I go into anywhere and I have to talk, because you hear a bit of an accent, I'm a son of the soil. I don't bend to I don't acquiesce to the white man's framework. The moment you think outside the box, you see the light. The number one thing that destroys black folks is we get stripped of our identity. Just imagine that. You're naked. The moment your identity is taken from you, you got nothing left. That's why you see a lot of black people, they don't even know. They're okay, like we're sat here. Africa has a rich history. I'm a Nigerian by roots. Kenyans have, you can imagine, years of history. Ugandans have their own story. Ghanaians, and the list goes on. How many Ghanaians have I bumped into? My age or younger than me, they have no idea. They don't know nothing. People sitting in the West, and we are you see, the people that sit at the top of affairs, they just sit down and laugh. We are the ones that keep the Western system going every day. Isn't it funny that somebody told me about the third or the fourth generation of Western expatriates in Nigeria and all across Africa? They are there now. They're making multi-millions on a daily basis. They live like kings and queens. Why is it that when American people live in Nigeria or in Kenya or in Uganda or in Ghana, they call them expatriates? It's mental conditioning. You see your average black brother and sister, you look at the white man on the soil of Africa, you see them like, what do you call it? Like they are superior, like gods. But It doesn't matter however qualified you are, educated you are, you can have 20 PhDs. You are an immigrant in the West. You are from the third world country. They always label us and put us at the bottom end of the spectrum, however educated you are. Am I lying? It's a fact. Somebody said, so Franklin, let me see, what's that? Okay, Franklin, so what's the move? What's the plan? You're charismatic, but you're telling us what we already know. What is your unique approach? The unique approach to that's coming from the brother that's trying to pick on my name, though. The unique approach to this is, I've said it on my channel, and I keep saying it. You see, the revolution and the freedom, the collective, let me say collective freedom of the blacks, in order for us to even be able to drive the motherland to where we want the motherland to get to, we need to mentally free ourselves. You see, the biggest war for the black man to conquer and win is the psychological warfare. You can sit here, we can talk and talk and talk, but when you see all of those, some of our black brothers and sisters, their mentality, everything white is better than Africa. Do you understand me? There are people, just when you tell them, oh, I want to move to the motherland, they would do everything to try to call you crazy. Why do you think the Chinese are moving into our lands? Why do you think the Americans, the Russians, all these powerful countries, there is a reason. They can see what you can't see. If Africa is not juicy, why are they fighting to take over? Why are they destabilizing African governments and putting their claws into everything? So we come out of our motherland, we spend the best of our lives in the West because we claim the West is better. The West is tolerating us. The West is actually shafting us on a daily basis, financially, emotionally, in terms of all the treatments you can think of. They are shafting us. They are moving us into a tight corner. They are letting you know that you don't belong. Look at the African American brothers and sisters. People are getting killed like chickens every day, despite the fact that their generations have paid their dues and built that country. They disregard them on a daily basis. You get what I'm saying? We're still pushing. We want to be accepted. So if we can't win and collectively conquer the mental conditioning that has been forced down our lungs for generations, we've not even started. Everything about the West is well structured and designed for you to have just about enough to survive. They project Africa via their mainstream media. It's a template that's been around for donkey years. When you watch on the TV, a lot of ignorant people, oh, everybody in Africa is butt naked. Everybody in Africa has got HIV because it's deliberate. These things also feel racism. The white man sees themselves as, that's why they have the savior mentality. Oh, we're trying to help you. You are beneath us. That's why if the white man lands in Africa, even the lowest white man here in the West, they land Nigerian airport tonight. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Ogasa, welcome, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My boss, welcome, sir. Yeah. But when you see your own black brother, they'll be like, come to this side. Let me see your back. Where you coming from? Is that your passport? They talk to you like a criminal. Look at Wadi Maya. Wadi Maya, the brother, is doing his bits to contribute to the wider African community. They treated him in African countries like a criminal. If Wadi Maya was a Chinese man, they wouldn't treat him like that. If he was white, they wouldn't treat him like that. Oh, they would even, you would have seen the government officials falling head over heels to meet with Wadi Maya, to give him a red carpet welcome. He even said, even in Ghana, as big as his platform is, he's literally begging people that, hey man, let me showcase your business. And they're like, no, we don't want you. But if he's a white man, they'll be, oh yes sir, welcome sir. That's facts. It's mental conditioning. Nothing black, nothing African is good enough. So when people say, what's the way out? The way out is here, here. Everything else can follow. If the mentality, if we keep acquiescing to the white man's ways and template that's been forced down our lungs, we have a long way to go, man. That's the
All
way I
right.
see it.
All right, all right. Well, wow. So, I think one of the reasons, one of the issues we talked about, we identified is the issue of brain drain. There's a lot
Yeah.
of brain drain. A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people who are talented, they are
Yeah.
doing, they're super talented. They go and spend most of their productive years when they're young and energetic, when they can do the most. They go to the West, and a number of them only come back to retire, or maybe to retire, or maybe some would even choose to die in the West, but they would make it clear that when they die, they want to be buried in Africa. What is your take on that?
Again, look, it's the brain drain, right? It's the mental conditioning. These templates of existence has been put in place for generations. That's why I'm saying that it's so deeply rooted that unbeknown, knowingly or unknowingly, even adults, because you're already trapped in it, you force your, it's like religion, and no disrespect to anybody. You give what you know, what you're conditioned to know and practice to your children. Your children soak it up. So very rarely do you find people that think outside the box. Does that make sense? So they bring now, it's a very fantastic, it's a very bad strategy from an African point of view because it's destroying us, right? But for the white man, it's a very powerful strategy. So what do? They keep Africa on its knees. So, for example, a medical doctor in Nigeria, that the federal government of Nigeria, somebody, I mean, come on, man, going to a medical school for 7, 8, 9 years of your life. Wow, it's a long time. All the exams, all the back-breaking labor. Then you come out as a medical doctor, and then you're faced with joblessness, right? You're faced with poor salary packs. I've been, I'm not gonna lie, I've been to Nigeria before where I met young dudes, young guys. And the guy was telling me, a smart medical doctor, and he was telling me that they haven't been paid for about 5 months. And I'm like, what the hell? So and suddenly the guy was like, man, bro, I want to go to Canada, man. I have a friend of a friend that's trying to help me. And there's a group of about 3 doctors that were telling me they want to move to Canada. Now, check this. So these guys, they're going to jump on the plane. They'll get to Canada. But don't forget, Canada has its degree of racism. They're not going to escape racism, but they will get into Canada. They will get sucked into Canadian system. They will justify it mentally that, right, I'm getting paid money here anyway, and I'm able to pay my rent. I can drive a nice car. I've got a bit of money saved. Yeah, I better put up with the racism. I better live here, right? So the argument is, oh, I'm living in Africa. Oh, in my motherland, I'm not being appreciated, and I've come to Canada, and Canada's welcomed me. But Canada really doesn't have a plan for you as a black man. Does that make sense? To move up in ranks. You might get a job as a doctor the next 10, 15, 20 years of your life and retire in Canada, but you're really not going to move up. Does that make sense? You might be able to pay off your mortgage, but there is a reason why you have these dysfunctional governmental systems in Africa. It's deliberate because that's how the brain drain works. If the doctors are being well paid, the nurses are being well catered for, they're getting the relevant benefits. Very small number of people will willfully migrate to Western countries to go and live the rest of their lives. You might go on holiday, and maybe if you like to visit as a tourist, you might go and then come back. But to migrate and go and settle down and go and subject yourself to discrimination, you won't. And that's the bait. So the way the West is designed is this, yeah? It's like this. Hey, Listen, we're gonna give you this, 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 this. Come, come. Look at the way you are leaving. It's like you are dining with the devil. Listen, listen. I'll make sure you have a pot of soup on a daily basis. Come. Then you start thinking you're oh, my children. One of the biggest entrapment for us as black folks, you think, oh, my children, the future will be promising for my children. So they can have good education, so they can do this. And when you look at that conversation, it's a logical conversation. Who doesn't want their children to live well, right? And the Western system is saying to you, come, come, come. You can live here. You can have a good job. You get sucked in. So watch this. You get into the system. So even when they smack you on the head with racism, pow, and you go, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. No, it's all right, it's all right. We'll take it. It's fine. It's fine. And that's why you find within our community, no, 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 it's fine. It's all right. It's all right. We have learned ways to adopt, to align, to accept the ill treatment. I've had black people that would say to me, "Oh, just, just take it. Just don't fight back. Just keep your head down and keep on going because we justify it by the benefits that's given to us." Do you see what I'm saying? And then we keep our head down and then we just keep it going. And you know what? If I'm a doctor, think about it. I've come into the system, I've left Africa behind. Imagine several of my colleagues. I am benefiting England. I'm a doctor in the UK. I'm benefiting the UK. So more and more, more and more, more and more, more and more thousands. They strengthen their system. They look after their own citizens, right? And in exchange, you get your doctor's salary. You go home to your wife and kids or to your husband and children. And then you said, and then Africa, they keep draining Africa of the best resources to cater for themselves. It's as simple as that. Why is it that most of the foods, cocoa, all the things that they need in the West for their best, let me tell you this. You know what's funny? I went to some top, I'm not going to name the hotel, yeah? Some top level hotel in central London. And they sold me Ethiopian coffee, yeah? No. They were selling Ethiopian coffee. The Ethiopian coffee is very rich. A cup of Ethiopian coffee, if I'm correct, was nearly £20. In the name of it's a 5-star hotel. And I'm laughing. And the last time I had a stopover in Ethiopia, because of the airline problem, they put us in the hotel. I enjoyed the Ethiopian coffee for free. It's absolutely yummy. And a gentleman was telling me about how the West come in and take the coffee in large quantities, how the Ethiopian farmers are being maltreated. And they bring it to the West and they sell it for gold. So do you see, the Ethiopian farmers are suppressed. The West bring your resources and they sell it. And we blacks in the system, if we want to enjoy the ambience of that 5-star hotel, we even part with our hard-earned money because of mental conditioning. You pay them in the process. So it's a double barrel type of attack, isn't it? This is what I'm saying. When people talk about corrupt leaders and corrupt government, my response to that is, everybody knows it's a common knowledge. My response to that is, most African leaders are puppets. Who is a puppet? The puppet is attached to a string. Who controls the string? The guy behind the puppet. Who's controlling the puppet? The West. Why are the African leaders adamant on disservice and destroying their people? Because they have glittering, dodgy political careers, because they are rewarded by their white masters at the top of the pyramid for perpetrating criminality on a daily basis against their own people. So, if you, as a political leader in a powerful position, you embezzle, say, $100 million, and from the $100 million, 80 million goes to the pocket of the West, you can get away with 20. You and your boys can share the 20, right? You repeat the process, you steal another 200 million, you can keep 20 for yourself, you and your boys. So, and then you go to the poll to fingerprint, you're shouting, you're throwing stones and stuff. They get the Western backing. And the West, that's why every part of Africa that they tell you they're trying to help you, there is always a benefit in there for the West. That's why the movement of returning to Africa, uh, people are moving to Ghana, moving to Nigeria, like African American brothers and sisters are moving to Gambia and stuff. It's infuriating them in the West. They are angry because for every American that moves to Gambia, that's one less person that's keeping the American system going. For every person that moves to Nigeria, that's one less person that's keeping the Western system going. So you think they're happy that you're talking about the year of moving back, the year of return. They don't. That's why they go to any length to sabotage the system, to try to cripple, to infiltrate, to destroy it. Because Africa is the future. The future is now. You got any more
Oh,
questions?
yes. Our next question is, we also have these Africans who go, they leave their countries, they go to the West, and they don't return, they don't come back. Is it because they cannot afford to come back? Keeping in mind that a number of people, there's a number of people when they get like the green card and such opportunities, like that's the best thing. They would even call the village to fundraise for their tickets and some little pocket money to go and start life with. And all the time we find that these people have initially when they're going, oh, I'm going to make good money. I'll come back in 2 years, and then you realize, wait, this friend of mine told me that they were going to come back, they'll not come back. Oh, they're going to invest, they're not investing. What's happening? Why is it
Well,
that some don't come back?
yeah. Again, it's it's the that's the power. You see, the power of the Western system, right? See, what it does initially is what it actually does is it attacks your mindset. Now, think about it. Somebody coming who's managed to get into the West and and somebody who's managed to get into the West, I always say something. A disguised or a misleading presentation of comfortability will be perceived as a normal type of comfortability. What do I mean? So if somebody is tricked you into a system, not tricked because you choose to go there, right? But if somebody is sucked you into a system and it looks to you as this is greener pastures, this is better, right? And you you just think, man, I'll sit here, I'll remain here, right? And that comfortability, sitting in your comfort zone, it feels complacency. Again, all of these things that I'm talking about, the questions you're asking me, the things I've said earlier, if you look at it critically or closely, it's connected to mental conditioning. It's the mind. It's the mind. You have people, it's funny, you have some diasporans. Some people have actually grown to their late 20s or their 30s before traveling abroad. And then suddenly they spend 5 years in the US or 4 years in the UK. They're the ones at the front of the conversation. I'm never going back to Africa. Never. And I think, really, really, dude, really? Because it's the it's the disguised or the misleading interpretation of comfortability. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here to say, oh, if you look at some, part of this Western system, oh, there aren't things that work effectively for them. Do you get what I'm saying? There are things that work. The system works. They've put it in place. That's not what we are saying. But it's been so bad. It's become so bad for us that, yeah. But like you say, people say, "Oh, I'm never returning to Africa." It's sad, but we have to also accept the truth that, unfortunately, not every black person will return to Africa. It's a truth that we have to,
That, yeah,
we have to align with. Not
yeah, that's
everyone, not everyone will go back to Africa. It's usually the comfortability. People are neck deep in the deceit in the system. You're already, you have your mortgage. You have to pay for like 20, 25 years of your life. It's a lot of debt. It's very easy to walk into somebody's property here in the West, yeah? Somebody's home. And right from the door, the house looks absolutely beautiful. From the driveway, you walk in, the living room, the bedrooms. During winter, they're keeping the house warm. They have a lovely couple of cars on the driveway. But guess what? Every single thing is on credit. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't exactly own it. Now, of course, financial experts, there are so many people watching this. The way the Western system is designed, credit is not exactly bad, provided you use it reasonably, right? You can use credit to even make more money. But what I'm saying is, for the average person, the bills on a monthly basis, you dare not lose your job. For some people, they can't even afford to lose that job or not have an income for 1 month. It's done. You'll end up on the street. It's a fact. So you're in that system. It's designed in a way to collect and collect so that you have just about enough to survive upon.
Do you think some people are actually embarrassed to come back? Do you think embarrassment could be one of the reasons? Because you might find somebody left, and we've had cases, we've heard of some who are actually literally living in the streets. So because they're living in the streets, you're like, wait, why can't you just like come back home? Because in your village, almost everybody has some ancestral land. You have a small piece. You can go, at least you won't be begging for food. So is it some sort of embarrassment as well? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be very honest. I've said this before in line with that question. Look, when people say, "Oh, I don't want to go back because of yeah, 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 oh, the roads are not that, this is in Africa," let me tell you, 99.999% of the time when people talk like that, it's because of money. You see, all of those people that give you 1,001 reasons why, oh, they would never go back to Africa, it's a lie. It's because of finance. And like you say, unfortunately, and I say this with all due respect to my brothers and sisters, right? It's true. There are people that live in the West, and I'm talking in our community, right? People are broke. My sister, people are broke. People haven't got savings. Some people have lived abroad for 10, 15 years or more, and they can't even say they have a savings of 5,000 US dollars because they don't have it. There are people in the UK. I've got people closely knit family members, right? Here in the UK, they tell you they've been abroad for 24 years of their life. They cannot boast of £10,000. What? £10,000 is too much. They can't even, some don't even have £3,000 in savings. So now when somebody like you, African tigress, you bring up the conversation about, oh, going back to the motherland, the first thing that comes to them as soon as this type of conversations come up is fear. Because, and like you say, people back home are counting out, ooh, he's been gone for like 10 years. He's been abroad for like 17 years. She's been in the US for 22 years, blah, 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 for 18 years. So there is no money. Most people, when they go on holiday I always say this to people. Let me say this before I forget. Most people that go on holiday, oh, I want to go to Nigeria for Christmas, I want to go to Ghana for Christmas, or whatever African country. You know, I mean, for those that live in the West, some people have to take extra jobs, have to work extra shift to pay for that flight ticket. Some people even have to put that flight ticket on a credit card bill. That your cousin that's spending money during
Okay.
Christmas for 2 weeks, it's on credit. When they get back after Christmas or the summer break, they have to bust their backside to pay back that money for the next 4 or 5 months. It's a fact. It's because people are broke. That's where, it ties into what you said about shame. Of course, that's where the shame is. Because Africans, our
Okay.
brothers back home, they're going to evaluate you like, oh, so you're coming from the US, you got nothing. People are going to talk, of course. That's why.
All right, all right. Finally, let's get the like up. Hit that like button. Support the stream. Thanks to everybody who super chatted so far. I appreciate your contribution. Hit the like button. So, talking about that, we have a number of maybe Africans who left the continent and went to look for the greener pastures, but some of them come and they tell us, "Oh, it's not what you think. It's don't come here." But it's very hard for people, for Africans who are on the continent, to believe when you're telling them, oh, it's hard here, it's tough here, because they're like, you're telling us it's tough there, but why are you still there? Like,
Yeah,
it's tough.
I you can imagine. I get that a lot. So when people watch my channel, right, I try to be as objective, as constructive as possible. When people watch my content, they bang me emails and say, "Oh, Phrankleen, yeah, yeah, yeah." See why? It's understandable. People back home, our brothers and sisters back home, right, due to lack of knowledge, and particularly their interpretation of the West via the Western, contents that we've seen for generation, the music videos, the fake life that's been projected via the mainstream media, the movies, and the very wrong perception. And also another part is a lot of our people that live abroad, a lot of people go home, go and show off. They lie to their relatives. They give wrong impression. I am this big in the West when you are in fact this big. You pose in your pictures, you mislead people back home. I've seen people that lean on somebody else's car and an expensive BMW that's maybe £20,000. Your younger cousin who is in the village back home, he sees that one picture and is like, hey,
I
Jesus
want
Christ,
to.
I want to go. Then somebody like me saying, hey man, don't go to the West, and they're looking at you like, really, bro? Really? Really? No. That's why you see people, they go through the desert. How desperate can you be to want to go through the desert, to want to cross through these, and then people end up dying. They get enslaved in all the Dubai and Qatar and all these places just because they want to get to the West. It's because, and unfortunately, our governments back home, they're not doing anything to educate people. See, again, remember I keep saying it's the mind. Education is important. Think about it. If there were programs in place for particularly young girls and young boys, like if they incorporate these into the curriculum in schools, whereby like from like younger ages and in the secondary schools and stuff, and they can start showing them nationwide, like, listen, it's okay for you to want to travel to overseas. Do it legally, okay? Don't let any unscrupulous travel agent lie to you that, oh, when you get to Dubai, for being a cleaner in Dubai, they will pay you $10,000 a month. It's a lie. Don't let one auntie in Italy tell you that when you get to Italy, there is some rich man that will give you $20,000 a month. Unbeknown to you, you are going to be forced into prostitution. But because That might just be one young girl in one village family whereby everybody is poor. Poverty is so bad, it destroys the mind. And because they want a breakthrough, they objectify that girl or that boy, and then they push them into the dangers of the West. They get to the West, they are caught in the vicious cycle because the people back home need money to survive. That's the vicious cycle that's destroying the fabric of our wider society in Africa like cancer on a daily basis. Lack of education, ignorance, heightened ignorance. Part of that, some of our family members that have managed to travel abroad, they lie. People lie, they disseminate lies, they mislead people back home. In fact, I'll tell you this. There was a time when I traveled to Nigeria and I was hanging out with a couple of childhood friends, and I was explaining car finance in the UK, right? They were looking at another friend of ours, we're age mates. He was sat in this BMW, right? It was a 2016 BMW. And some of my childhood friends were like, oh my God, this guy is making it. He's killing it in the UK. Look at the BMW. And I said, no, he doesn't own that car. That car belongs to the finance company. On a monthly basis, he will have to be paying an agreed amount to the car finance. These guys were arguing. There is no way. I said, nah, that's like a 25,000 pounds BMW. I can assure you that this guy does not have 25,000 pounds to give in cash to the car dealer. I had to go on my laptop. I sat them down and I was showing them. I took nearly an hour explaining to them. And I could see some of these guys were like, oh, so wait. So you can go to a dealership and you can wait. So what happens then when you don't pay the you stop paying for the car monthly? I said the car dealership can put a trace on the car and they can come and take the car from you. And and they were like, whoa, really? This is what I'm saying to you. Like lack of knowledge. So if you're talking to men, young brothers and or sisters who don't understand the Western framework, and I go home and I'm flexing in a BMW that I don't even fully own. There are, look at my, like, this is an iPhone, right? This is an iPhone 11, right? This is an iPhone. As you probably know, here in the West, I can get these on a phone contract, and I may be paying, for example, £40 a month. But the truth is, I don't fully own this phone. You see what I'm saying? You might have a 12-month contract or an 18-month contract, and you are paying monthly. So if I take this phone now, this phone is maybe about 300,000 or 400,000 naira. I don't know how much it is in equivalent in naira right now, right? So if I go home and I'm flexing, right? I go on holiday to Nigeria and I'm flexing, I've got my wristwatch, and that's Phrankleen from the UK, looking all fresh. He lives in the UK, and I'm holding this. I'm taking a call. They're looking at me like, this guy is using the latest iPhone. Oh God, this guy's got money on him. And then I'm lying, I'm disseminating falsehood. So all these people that want to come abroad, they have a complete misconception of what's going on. It's when you then get into the system and then they realize that they're walking on the streets of London and they walk into a phone shop and then they realize that, oh, hold on, wait. So, oh, you can get the phone and pay £50 a month for the next 18 months. Oh, do you see what I'm saying? And that's just a little example of how the misconception about the Western life, how it works. And it goes
Okay.
on and on like that, man.
And one thing though, most of the Africans who've left the continent and they move abroad and they come back, there's always this issue where some of them tend to feel or act superior, act like know it all. And that is what some of the reasons. Oh, you're saying it's expensive there, but when you come, you're going to this place, you're eating like in expensive places here and all that. So people are like, no, tell us the truth. And also that issue, why do you think there's that mentality whereby some of them who come back feel like they are better? They change. It's like you never knew this person. You knew the person before they left, but when they come back, it's as if you don't know nothing, they know everything.
Yeah, it's again, it's, you see, sadly, I know what you're saying. That's again rooted in the Western propaganda. Okay. So unfortunately, people do that a lot. It's sad. I see that, right? When I go home, you see me, I'm an extrovert by nature. When I go to Nigeria, what you see is what you get. This is me. This is Franklin. I've never projected myself to anybody that, oh, yeah, this is me. I live in the UK. Bruv. In fact, let me tell you right now, when I go to Nigeria, I speak my mother tongue, Yoruba. Occasionally, you might catch me banging out, English. I speak Yoruba. I speak my mother tongue. As soon as I step out at the airport, the Western mask goes off. I'm not in the UK anymore. I left. Well, people can look at you and feel, oh, I think that guy lives abroad. Fair enough. That's nothing, right? But all this projecting superiority complex on your fellow brothers and sisters because you live in the white man's land. Just look at the type of damage that's done to the mentality of that black person. Because why? So you've lived in the UK, you think you are better now than your brothers and sisters in the motherland. So you go there and then you start flexing and the people that actually do that, that's what I was saying earlier. If you come here and come and look at how they really and truly live, they are at the bottom end of the spectrum in the Western society. They are nobody. Because, like they always say, the UK is a leveler. For example, Western life is a leveler. There's nothing special. You dig? That's why even some people watch my channel. They bump into me on the high street, and some people are, oh, Franklin, they think maybe they're expecting me to be acting like some YouTube celebrity, and I just high five them. Yo, what's going on, man? How you doing? I chat to them and I go about my business. You dig? Some people, maybe a bit of a YouTube fame gets into their head and they act funny. That's not me. It's the same thing when people go back home and you start trying to flex on people with your accent. If I wanted to do, that's too much negative. I don't do that nonsense. I haven't got time for that, man. I don't do that because it's just emptiness. It's all lies. We need ourselves. You see, in fact, what I have observed is, you see, when you go home, even when the locals, your brothers and sisters back home, when they can tell that, oh, I think this guy has just come back from the UK or from overseas. But when they look at you, the way you behave, that you're not like that, you are like really normal, right? You get a lot more love. You get a lot more respect. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you come across with arrogance and you're trying to belittle them, oh, they will conspire. And
Against.
and this is also one of the main reasons why sometimes some diasporans get targeted. They would be, yeah, because if you have that asshole behavior, you're belittling people and trying to. That's why I say to people, listen, I'm a Nigerian by roots, man. So I'm not going to come out of the plane now and get to Lagos tonight and then start saying, oh, what's going on here? You guys are living in the dark. Well, what happened to the electricity? Why do you need to say that? Why? This is Africa, man. Man, I don't care. If I get home, the electricity needs to be on. They've taken the light. Hey, yo, put on the gen. Go and get me petrol. This is Africa. This is the motherland. We're keeping it moving. There's no need to sit in the middle of about 10, 15 people. In the UK, we don't do this in the UK. Yeah. Oh, is that right? Then they start to look at you like, okay, we need to target this guy and set you up. That's why people get targeted. It's just stupid mentality, man, which unfortunately, once people have come here, we've adopted the Western accent. It's like even if I can add this, it's another thing that they do. That's why you see some of our people when they've lived in the West, maybe in America, in the States, they've lived in the UK. We take the accent, we cargo the abroad accent, we cargo it back home. People don't have a duty to be in the film or acting industry. They get in there, right? Because why? The people back home, they suffer from inferiority complex. So the guy comes home, he's not able to do anything tangible with his life in the West. He comes home with an half-baked American accent. The lady comes home with a half-baked British accent, and then they start to act. But the people that went to the film school in Africa, you don't give them the chance. So
Exactly.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, or maybe they become the radio presenters and the TV.
But then when you look at them closely, they really don't have the skills. But oh yeah, because he's from the UK. He's from the okay, it's from the UK. But is he really able to work on the radio though? Do you see what I'm saying? He's okay, he's from the US. Okay, great. That's fine. But has he really got acting skills? But because again, it's just the bias in our society. And then there's a guy that actually went to drama school, that's gone to the film school, that's paid his dues. They would never get the chance just because the person is not stepped on the plane. So, it's sad.
Okay, so how do we reverse this? How do we reverse this?
How do we reverse this?
Like, how do we deal with that? I mean, it's happening already. We've seen cases whereby, oh, you find that maybe in a certain station there was somebody who was working there. There's a retrenchment. They see the cutting. Then suddenly you see somebody who maybe recently came back with an accent. So that kind of person is given that opportunity.
Yeah, look, man, how do we reverse this? Unfortunately, it's a deeply ingrained toxic culture, right? It's a deeply ingrained, mentality that's it's deeply rooted in our society. So education, gradually, unfortunately, a lot of these problems are not going to be weeded out completely in our lifetime. Let's call a spade a spade. We can be the pioneers of the change. You see, I am thankful and privileged to be part of a generation where we can use internet, like platforms like this, to you can be sat in your house there, I'm here, we're connected remotely, and we can project to the wider world and be able to reach our brothers and sisters, right? But unfortunately, the mindset and the mentalities of our people is the number one problem. If we can start to conquer that, we can start to change the way we think, the way we reason, then hopefully we can start seeing changes in other areas.
All right. Next question is what is the economic effect of this, and how can we educate people about the economic effect of immigration?
What is that economic effect of migration on Africa or against Africa?
On Africa, when you leave, what happens to that country that you bashing? Like when people, those who leave, and then they start bashing the continent, like, oh, forget about Kenya, it's really nothing good is there and all that. But then, oh, it's not developed. But I don't. A number of people don't
How
realize
many?
that.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, right? How many contents you and I know? We say a lot of things about China, all these countries. I'm just giving a random example here. How many contents have you seen on YouTube online that you see a group of Chinese bashing China? How
Not
many?
even, not even one. I've never
Even,
seen even one.
even when you catch Chinese people red-handed, yeah, breaking the law, doing something unlawful, they will still try to even insult your intelligence and try to say, oh, no, my friend, it's just some small mistake. We will fix it. You see what I'm saying? So it's the black man, it's the Africans. We are the ones with the problem. Like, you have a little taste of the West. You even here in the West, how many times do you see the black, the Africans, tear, sorry, the Chinese tear down their own countries? They don't. Doesn't mean, are you telling me China is perfect? China is full of their own problems. What? They have a blatant disregard for human rights in that country. What? Are you joking? There's police brutality in China. The government can they can take people out now. If they don't like you, you're a blogger, you're saying something, they can jail you and your entire family. Nobody's going to. It's a communist country. Nobody's going to stop them. But you don't. Yeah, somebody's saying Russians don't. You don't see them. They protect their own. But we throw ourselves under the bus. This is what I'm saying. And the worst thing you can do is you destroy. I keep talking about your own identity, your own things, and the people at the top of the pyramid of oppression, they're laughing because we keep that system going on for them. Of course. Yeah, many of us are sellouts. Of course, there's a lot of sellouts in the black community, too much. This is what I'm saying. I always say the pathway of integrity is very lonely. The pathway of integrity, and I'm talking from personal experience, I kid you not. The pathway of integrity is almost non-existent within the black community. Give a black person a little bit of little change in their pocket, they'll be the one to sell you out. They will tell the white man the color of your undies, what your favorite food is, where you work, everybody, about every member of your family. They will destroy you, man. We sell out ourselves, man. It's too much.
All right. Kindly let's get the likes up. Hit that like button. Support the stream. Hit the super chat. That's the dollar sign as you are about to comment. Support the stream. Hit the like button. If you have questions, you can ask. Another question: how can Africans who have moved? We realize that a number of them who are moving, maybe they are running away from a certain situation. Some would say, oh, it's because of corruption, or it's because of the lack of opportunities. How can the Africans who have moved contribute to developing or building that which they were running away from?
Well, you mean diasporans? How can, by way of investment. There's already data out there. Diasporans, we've got to give diasporans credit in terms of monetary contribution, investments on a daily, monthly basis and stuff. In terms of even supporting families back home, diasporans play a huge role in that regard. Let's call a spade a spade. But there is more to be done, all right, in terms of financing and being more structural in terms of our involvement. Diasporans, betting on the foreign exchange, the forex, shelling money back home on a monthly, weekly, daily basis is a lot. Billions every year go from diaspora, to the motherland. How that money is then being used, is it being invested, wisely? Is it getting into the hands of people who are just wasting those resources? That's a separate conversation, right? But in terms of how to really make use of the resources that we are getting in the West, people need to come together and build businesses and invest and build infrastructures and to improve the processes in Africa. That's the only way, man.
What about politics? For those ones who's talking about politics and all that, they ran away because of politics or the political situation. How can they contribute? Like the political situation, like can they be the voice? Talk about some issues that maybe some of the people who are still in the country cannot talk about?
Political situation. If you look at this strategically, right? There's been a lot of brothers and sisters who are using their platforms, like you, like me, Wadimaya, Juliet, and several people, right? Pushing the narrative, which is great, which is liberating. But when we look at it strategically in terms of political influence, now, I'll be honest, man, that's the hardest part of the whole thing, right? When it comes into the political arena, it's it's a totally different ball game. You are dealing with generational monsters who they don't even know, they don't even speak the social media language. They are people who, a lot of them are there again pushing the white man's narrative. They are puppets, and those political positions are closely guarded. So, for people with genuine intentions, in order for you to be able to gain penetration into the upper echelons of power, whereby decisions are being made, it's man, that's one hell of a one, uphill battle. If you look across Africa, that's what we are seeing. Because the moment you go into the political side of conversation, trust me, man, it goes beyond what we're even saying here. It's a totally different ball game. We can't, how we are going to penetrate into that, man. It's like walking up Mount Everest without any shoes. It's hard. It's very hard, man. You're dealing with deeply rooted beasts, psychopathic people who they will kill to retain powers. They are not regular people like us talking about motherland. We're not dissuaded. We'll keep pushing the narrative because we want the best for Africa. But in order for us to be able to shake and shift, the political paradigm, man, it's crazy. That, I mean, the truth is, we will be going against Western powers as well if we want to change in Africa. So that means we would need a lot of coming together of a lot of the best brains, in the West, within, those that are willing. Oh man, you're talking power, man. Power shift. It's, man. I don't even know. I'm short of words, man. Because the corruption in the political arena, my God, some of these African leaders, they're not even wired to sit down with you for, well, we've been here for like 2 hours now. They don't even have the mental temerity to be able to sustain a logical conversation for 30 minutes. The moment you're speaking too much grammar and you're trying to tell them that, well, because of the next generation and they are already thinking of how to kill you off. They don't have time. Or if they're not trying to kill you off, they're just looking at how to buy you out and just give you some money and say, hey, you take that money and keep quiet. And then when you say, I don't want your money, we want revolution, we want this and this, and they'll be like, oh, is that right? And the next thing they're thinking is they're thinking of how to get rid of you. But having said that, I am optimistic. I'm positive because I want the best for the motherland. All I'm only trying to outline is an uphill battle. It's not a joke, man. So people have got to, they've got to be prepared for that battle if we really want revolution. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, and for those ones who still want to move abroad, or the ones who, for whatever reason, they've finally decided, or they've got the opportunity, the green card, and whatever, to move abroad, how can they ensure that they don't get caught in the system?
Well, to put it quite simply, without delving too deep, because we know that we don't know who is watching. But just put it quite simply, just all I've been saying, right? Like what you said earlier, some people are just ignorant. They just want to travel abroad. They don't want to listen. I'll put it quite simply. Just do it properly. If you must travel abroad, just do it properly and navigate the system properly. Because if you don't, for those that even navigate it properly on a daily basis, it's hard enough being black on this side of the world. We are living in a system that's not designed with black people in mind. That's a fact. That's a given. They, the system is just tolerating us. The system needs us to keep the wheel going. It's not designed with us in mind. The only time I would say this in the code word, the only time a black person, when they let you move up in ranks, unusually in the West, right? You must have fraternized with them. which means stripping you of your integrity. You get the gist, right? So, in exchange for stripping you of integrity, so what that means is they own the entirety of your being. So, when you see the so called powerful black people in the West, they can't come into the public domain like you and I to talk about, oh, Black Lives Matter, oh, racism, oh, white supremacy. You can't. You can't say that because they would take everything that's been given to you within the two shakes of a dog still. That's a fact. If they realize that you have a platform and your platform gets bigger than it is now, you're getting really big. African Tigress has become really big, and you're talking about pressing matters. This is how the template of existence is on this planet. There are persons that are watching. They're watching. They're looking at all of us. I've got a platform. I'm telling you, look at Wadimaya, right? Trust me. Wadimaya is getting bigger, bigger and bigger, right? It's going to get to a point. You want to penetrate certain levels. There are certain, I call them the dark hands of the society. It's the way the world is operated. That it's the way it is. They're going to come approach you. Not they don't necessarily mean they'll come looking dreadful. No, they're going to approach you. Hi, we like what you're about. We would like to work with you. What do you need? We'll give you anything you want. In fact, we think you should be in charge of a TV channel. We can syndicate you and make sure you make multi-millions. You can have this, you can have that. But there's always a price to pay. That's why the best of the best within the African, the black community, the moment they see you, you're a shining star, you are arising, they snap you, they buy you out, they snap you. Oh, people, that's why people don't understand. You want fame, you want the glitz and glamour, you want to be powerful. Come, come and get it. In order for us to open the door for you into the upper chamber, to get you really powerful, oh, you have a net worth of $300 million. You have a net worth of $500 million. No, that goes beyond just being smart or being a great basketballer. That's nonsense, man. It comes at a price. You are owned by a particular network. So, and this is what I'm telling you. The moment you are owned, yeah, people can see you in the front end that you are wealthy, but you're controlled. What your voice is controlled. Everything you're doing is controlled. So there you go.
Okay, okay. I see a number of comments. They will try to buy African Tigress out and they will try to control her through YouTube. Entertainers, athletes, and all are all owned by Hollywood, who have nothing on their own. Okay,
virtually all of them, man. Virtually all of them. Virtually all of them. That's why when you watch all these, big names, right? When there is any global issues like racism, somebody getting killed, and all that stuff, they will come on Instagram, they'll come on Twitter, they will make statements. But look at those statements critically. They're not going to go to the bottom. They will just talk generically, like things like, Black Lives Matter, and more has to be done. The voice of Black people needs to be heard. What happened is really heartbreaking. I mean, it's unbelievable. Black Lives Matter. Black people, da 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 da, and the post that on Instagram, and the unsuspecting members of the public. Oh yeah, oh such and such has said this. All of that is scripted. Anybody can say that. But the core of the Black struggle, they will never, because they can't. They are owned by the system. That's how it works. By yourself, all I'm trying to say is, by yourself, it's possible to be successful in the motherland or whatever. You can make it. If I'm selling baby wears, women's clothing, you can only go so far by yourself. This is why I always say to people, don't chase materialism. Don't chase materialism. If you're governed by materialistic dreams, I want to own 20, 20 cars. I want to have the most expensive Rolex. I want to do this. It's very easy to get sucked in. But if the priceless things in life, like just waking up in the morning with your glass of coffee, being able to walk in a beautiful terrace within Africa, you have a peace of mind. You can hear the birds chirping. You have a decent car. You have a decent bank account, and you have peace of mind. Yeah, you should be able to navigate through the rest of your life and enjoy life. Again, look at the brain drain you were talking about. Most of us would chase money. The chasing and longing for money, materialism is why the West can dangle what they're dangling before us and they suck us in. Before you know, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years has gone past. You're old, you're retired, there's nothing to show for it.
All right, all right, all right. If you have questions, we're about to finish this conversation. If you have questions for Franklin, go ahead, ask them in the comments. What advice would you give to an African who wants to move abroad?
Right. And what advice would I give to an African who wants to move abroad? Like I always say, if moving abroad is on the cards for you, the advice that I would give to you in 2020 is if you have to move abroad, it becomes important for you to move abroad for whatever personal reasons. Do it properly. Do your findings. Ignorance is not an excuse. You're going into a system that's already set in place. There is nothing like in Jesus' name, in Muhammad's name, in Buddha's name, this is going to happen. You're wasting your time. Find out about the system, do your findings, the visa requirements. Don't leave everything into the hands of potentially unscrupulous travel agents that might lie to you just to collect money. And then when you get there, you get trapped into the system, you get stuck. Do your findings. And if you manage to tick the boxes, all the best. But let me also say this. If you are the type that you've managed to build something in Africa, you have a home for yourself, you have a good job, maybe you're already married, and the only reason you're desperate to travel abroad is because, oh, you believe America is better, I beg you, and I say it respectfully, think twice before you bin everything you have in the motherland. Because why? When you get to the West, you'll be greeted with unbelievable shock and surprise to your system because it's not what it's played out to be in the movies and on TV. That's all I'm saying. If you have something going for you in the motherland, stay back home. If you think I'm lying, come to the West and you find out.
Find out, sell your house, sell everything,
Ah, ah,
and learn the hard way. Because
yeah,
you see that lots of people, I've seen a number of people do that whenever they get the green card and whatever. Goodness, like someone just sells their house at a throwaway price, so that and
yeah.
they can afford that ticket because they believe maybe in 2 or 3 years they're gonna have a lot of money and they're going to build a bigger and better house. But then reality, they get a reality check so soon, so they won't tell you the truth. And then also I think a lot of people are wowed by the infrastructure, the roads and all that. You see people having fun, those nice photos that people take, and then you're like, wow, this place is beautiful, I want to work up to this.
What
So
kills our people? What kills our people are the outgoings. When people reach the West, you're trying to pay your rent, you're trying to pay your bills, and then the outgoings, and then because I always say to people, however big your bills are, it's the disposable income is what really makes the difference, right? So when you really can't put anything away, you're trapped.
all right, all right. Thank you so much. I don't see any question. I don't see any question for Phrankleen on the chat. Anything else I could not have asked that you might have wanted to add, Phrankleen?
Who me?
Yeah. Anything else you
Well,
wanted to add on this before we end
um,
the stream?
yeah. What I would love to add is on a closing note. First of all, I'm a respecter of people's choices. Please don't misconstrue, don't misinterpret whatever I've said tonight. People have got the right to make their own choices as to if you want to live in the West, that's up to you. But as a son of the soil, the future, Africa is the future. The future is now. Don't be dissuaded. Okay, listen. Some might say, "Oh, I try to invest. I try to do this." I know African, friends and families might have let you down. Your hard-earned money. I get that, but don't be dissuaded. Don't be put off. Please, I beg you. You want to live in the West? You're within your rights, and I'm not here trying to dictate to anybody. Please don't hijack what I've said or put a twist on it. But fam, let your children know their history. For those of you that are parents, you will be doing yourself a major disservice if your children don't know their roots, if even you yourself are totally disconnected. Invest, go and buy land, set up businesses, man. If you are able to migrate, please migrate and do it properly. Protect your finances. Let me see. Question for Phrankleen: how do you stay true to your roots? You're a true son of the soil, brother. Staying true to your roots is upholding your history, your culture. But when I say the word culture, it's a bit broad. Okay. When I say culture, for example, from the point of view of a man, it's not an African culture to treat your woman like trash. That's misogyny. That's not African culture. It's not an African culture that you sit in the house and you can't even cook a pot of soup and you expect just rest your on the couch. You expect the woman to do everything, and yet you still want to get between the woman's legs. That's not African culture. That's not culture. So there is culture, and then there is nonsense. Does that make sense? So, uh, somebody saying, Franklin, should we marry African men? Of course, African men first. Hey, African men first. Eunice. Of course.
All all right,
Any
all
more
right.
questions?
Now
Somebody is saying,
he eats his African food every day.
so if you can invest in the motherland, my people, get it done, man. Get it, and it's a benefit for those of us that have dual nationality. The things you can benefit from the motherland, you can't get them in the West. We're talking about catfish business, poultry. You're having your own this and that you can create. You can't do that in the West. You cannot. You cannot do that in the West just like that. There's so many red taping and roadblocks. And somebody saying, stop talking too much as a race and get to work. Hey, go and get yourself a cup of tea, man. We have to talk to transform our minds, okay? Yeah, thank you, Dorin, man. Any more questions? Eat your pepper soup, man.
I have a question for you.
Please.
How do you follow up on what is happening in Nigeria? Do you keep yourself up to date with everything happening in countries where you have interest?
Yes, I do. Thanks to smartphones and you got the internet. But what I do is because I have my daily life, I don't. It's physically impossible to soak up everything, right? So I got apps, and you pick up on the headlines. You know what's going on. So then there's so many popular social media channels that keep you up to date with trending topics, news, Twitter, and then if I want to read more on it, there are reliable article platforms that you can see. YouTube is also a very fantastic platform where you can easily see a content and educate. It's very important, man. You cannot just be in the West and turn your back on Africa. It's really dangerous. Somebody's saying, which is better for Africa, Chinese or the West? Wait, what kind of question is that? None.
Which is better for Africa channel? Oh,
So, any more questions? You can throw a couple of questions at me before we go.
how can we
Let's.
restore our African cultural heritage since we have religion?
Oh wow! Again, religion. I'm never afraid to talk about it, but we talk about the oppression of the white man, the West, and all that. And unfortunately, people will do everything in their might to protect the white man's religion. You dig? So, whilst I'm a respecter of people's choices, religion is a major tool that has been used to suppress our minds. And it's a major propaganda that's been generation after generations, man, to collapse our brains and stuff. Everything Africa, do you not know African traditions, anything Africa, if it's not seen as biblical, it's seen as juju, it's seen as diabolical, right? But that's actually the African tradition, right? So again, it's all this. It's, man, people don't understand, man. This is, whilst when we grow old and go, all of these Western and mental conditioning will carry on. As there's more technology. That's why, do you not notice anything whereby you're pushing the narrative and challenging anything that's not right in the West? What do they do on YouTube? They take it down. They take down your content.
Or your channel, the
YouTube
whole.
is not. They will take it down. It's not designed. It's really not designed for us. It's not. That's why when
Mm-hmm.
people say, "Oh, we need a black YouTube," no, we don't. We need a platform that will remain impenetrable. And the only reason why people compromise is once they get a bag load of money. That's what I'm telling you. There's only a tiny number of people with integrity out there, man. People start off well. Oh, I'm pro-black Africa, Africa. When they go behind the scenes and give them big multi-millions, they sell out, man. They sell your data. They change the whole thing. They start deleting your content. Yeah, that's the problem that we have. What advice would you give for young black women and men in regards to what, man? Is that regarding, if it's regarding Africa, please. And the fundamental problem is because of the Western propaganda, the youngins back in Africa, they fail to see the opportunity around them. They are fixated on traveling abroad, 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 abroad. So they are made to believe that nothing works in Africa. Are Africans in diaspora doing very well? Not everyone. A high number are not. There are some that are doing well, but when you look at it on a bigger scale, a high number are suffering. They are just on average level. That's a fact. Don't be caught up by some diasporans, right? Who have paid their dues. They can say they have some money stashed away. They have their own businesses, or they have very rewarding careers. They're doctors, top lawyers. But if you look at the wider African community, nah,
Another
exactly.
question.
If they're doing well, they've sold out. Facts. How do we influence the African Union from abroad? Being involved, don't try to be better than your African brothers and sisters. Level up with them, work with them. That's the only way. I said that before. Don't go like a savior to your brothers and sisters back home and try to be, oh, I've come from the West, I'm better than you. In order for us to be able to work with the people back home, regardless of the challenges, we have to level up with them. How many years before it's too late for us to move back? It's up to you, man. It's up to you. Africa is the future. The future is now. That answers your question. Thank you very much. Check out my. Can I talk my channel? Can I talk on
Yeah,
my channel?
obviously, check out his YouTube channel. In fact, answer the question on the screen as I drop the link to your channel.
Do you think Africa should coalesce into a single unified country? No, no. It makes it easy for the West to control. But even with the borders, we can be borderless and work together as a union of people. Check me out on YouTube. Phrankleen, just the way my name is spelled on that screen on my, Phranklen. Check out my channel. I
Yeah,
bang out content 3 times a week.
I'm dropping the link in the comment section. Ron says, Franklin, you didn't understand my question. I was asking about what the West and China are fighting over African resources and also geographically. What is your perspective on this?
The Berlin Conference was when everything was knifed up, right? So since then, for donkey years, they've had Africa on the dining table, carving into us. And, when I say carving into us, you see, the thing with the West is look at us, the Africans who come from the motherland. They really don't want us. It's like we are in the way. They want the resources. Does that make sense? They want to dominate the resources of the motherland. So our existence in the motherland is stifling their plans. But I believe their ultimate plans is to take over. In the Berlin Conference, you know what I'm saying, African Tigers. That's when everything was knifed, and France is controlling the coast of Africa. All the French-speaking countries, are being controlled. Their finance, their budget. It's crazy, man. So we need to break free. If the
Question.
so-called diasporas are doing well in Africa, why the push for diasporas to go?
I don't understand the question.
Yeah, Yusuf. If we try to come together with them, that will. What would you tell people in the West who want to move to Africa? Do your findings. Whatever. One thing you should know is Africa is a continent. There's about 54 odd countries, right? Even though we are one, we in spirit and all that, we're brothers and sisters. But what I'm trying to say is, if you were contemplating on migrating to Kenya, for example, Kenya is a totally different terrain to say you wanted to move to Gambia, to you say you wanted to move to Nigeria. You get what I'm saying? So why I'm saying that is do your findings, okay? Maybe make 1 or 2 trips. Go, do you be on the ground, have someone reliable to hold your hand and find out, understand the rules. Of course, the local knowledge, you can't get it in 2 weeks. And so the local people have more brains than you. They know all the corners, they know the system more than you. So when you move into the system over time, they will dupe you over time. They will dupe you for some time. Then you learn when you're on ground. They'll take advantage of you because you're fresh in the system. That's normal. You pay your dues. But you know, understand how the system is, ask questions, the rules and regulations, and then you can move in. Ghana and all the places, how to buy lands. Make sure you do it properly. Don't let anybody that knows somebody, people that are not businesses that are untraceable, unscrupulous persons, don't just drop your money into people's hands. Don't let people take advantage of you because that might distort your perception of Africa. And that's why when some people say, oh, I've been to Africa, Africa is this, 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 I always say, what part of Africa did you go? You spend 2 weeks in Gambia, you think you know Africa. No, you don't. You spend 2 weeks in Ghana, you know nothing about Nigeria. You spend 3 weeks in Nigeria, you know nothing about Uganda. So when people try to champ, even me, um, I am what's it called? Even me, I am a Nigerian. I can't publicly just say, "Oh, I can tell you everything about Kenya and Uganda and Gambia," because I've never lived in those countries. You see what I'm saying? That's why there's a lot of ridiculous information that just floating all around. People always say, "Oh yeah, yeah, in Africa they do this and this and this," and I always say to people, "Stop. What part of Africa have you been to? Even if you've spent 2 weeks in, let's say you traveled to Gambia, you might have spent 2 weeks in one particular city. in Gambia. That doesn't even represent the entirety of Gambia. So, like I said, do your findings, travel all around, understand what's going on, and then make your move.
Okay, okay. I'm dropping his link in the chat. So as you're asking your questions, how many more minutes you have? I see lots of questions coming now. I'm dropping the link in the chat. Go check out his link.
Franklin, tell that to Namkizi. He spends a few days in Ghana, saw poverty, and hates the whole of Africa. And African, I laugh at those brothers, man. Do you know the number of? This is what I always say to people. Let me just add this quickly. Do you know the number of the level of poverty in the States, in America? Oh my God. You don't have an idea. The level of poverty, even in the UK, you know. But of course, I'm not telling you there are no filthy looking gutters and pavements and stuff in Africa. You find that, but that's not a fair representation of an entire country or continent. Go to America. America is filled with slums. Come to London. Go to London. Come to the UK. Go to London. London is filthy. You get to some parts of London, you'll be like, whoa, what the hell? Of course. Go across the UK, there are slums. There are places with buildings boarded up. There are certain cities in the UK with high level of employment, people doing drugs, frauds, and state benefits and stuff. Come on, man. So, you know, but these brothers, they go to Ghana for 2 weeks. Oh man, in Africa, man, what's up, man? You know, Africa ain't all that. Oh, is that right? Okay. Hey, I love this brother, man. O'Shea Duke Jackson. I watch your channel, bro. Nice to see you here, man.
Thanks for the super chat, O'Shea. Thanks for the super chat, Kali Enigma, and everybody who super chatted. What obstacles are there when moving to the continent by the continent, if any?
What's up, O'Shea? What's up, brother? I watch your channel a lot, man. Keep up the good work, man. Check him out, man. O'Shea Duke Jackson. I love your interpretation on all trending matters and stuff, man. Yeah. Why even? He's not even here now. Well, folks still in their feelings. Judy Jones. What obstacles are there when moving to the continent, by the continent, if any? Well, African Empress. What obstacles? Like I said, obstacles are unique to the part of obstacles are unique to the part of the continent you are contemplating on moving to. Does that make sense? So, for example, if you were contemplating on moving to Ghana, what part of Ghana do you want to move to? What are you looking to do in Ghana? Does that make sense? So that the list of obstacles that you might find, maybe in terms of accommodation, what part of Ghana do you want to live in a major city? Do you want to live in outskirts? What are you looking to do in Ghana? You know, then those identified issues, risk and issues or whatever will be unique to that. If you're looking to move to Nigeria, the list of obstacles will be totally different if you juxtapose it with the other set of obstacles. Does that make sense? This is why it's very important that you do your findings and then you understand, okay, I want to move to Nigeria. What part of Nigeria do you want to move to? Do you know? I'll tell you what. Everybody says Lagos. Lagos is like a prominent city. Abuja is a capital, right? But there are other cities around in Nigeria that are a lot cheaper to live in, to dwell in. So if you want to move to Lagos, even Lagos is jam-packed. What part of Lagos do you want to move to? What's the cost of living? What are you trying to do in Lagos? So your findings will be unique to Lagos. It'll be totally different if you're talking about Accra in Ghana. Does that make sense? And on like that. If you want to move to Ethiopia, why do you want to go to Ethiopia? You know, you want to live in Addis Ababa, you know, you on and on like that, man.
How do you see Africa post COVID-19?
Oh well, post COVID, of course, there's a global imposition of the new normal, the way of living, particularly around economy and stuff. But even post COVID, I'm looking at it now, man. There are opportunities, you know. Globally, there is economic downturn and stuff. People are hit, countries are affected. But in the midst of the hula balloon stuff, there are opportunities. Find them. Find the opportunities. Africa, I'm telling you, man, Africa is the future. Believe that. There are already Western projections about Africa being a powerhouse in the next few or so years. Jump on the train now whilst it's loaded. Jump on it now. Believe me, you don't want to be left out, especially if you're from the motherland. We can't, especially since that was last week. I guess they left. All right. Any more questions? I'm here for your questions. Africa. Oh, Franklin, who is the most gorgeous looking brother on YouTube? Me. Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you cook anymore?
Uh,
Why don't you
uh,
eat? Why don't
sorry.
you cook anymore? Cooking.
Why don't I cook anymore? Well, I just got sucked into creating, facing my talk show and stuff. I'm contemplating on perhaps setting up a second channel at some point whereby I can do a bit more vlogging and put my cooking on that channel. You'd probably call it More Franklin.
Franklin Plus.
Oh yeah, I just call it More Franklin, and then you can see, more content is different from the talk show. I was, the economically, do you think it's necessary for Africa to still ally with the West to grow since we can't be isolated? Babajide Afolabi, it's a good point. But yes, you would always need to do business with other country, trade and all that. But there's a difference between doing business and calling the shots rather than like the West is saying they're doing business with you, but they are imposing the terms and conditions on the business. Does that make sense? They're the one controlling the narrative. That's not doing business. That's being bossed around. You can do business with someone whereby we've got a healthy business relationship, but neither of us is being bossed around. I bring something to the table, you bring something, we exchange it, everyone's happy, right? But if the West is imposing conditions whereby it favors them, it moves Africa into the tight corner that, it's not in the interest of the people that live in Africa, man. So yeah.
When are you going back home?
When I'm ready, when the boxes are ticked, those are personal stuff. But like I said, I've already said it. Come on, man. The motherland, man. Motherland. Bro, I wish you can get in my brain right now and see. I'll be honest. Let me tell you one fun fact. Um, a few years ago, this is what I'm telling you about the power of transforming your mind and how you think. I'll be honest. I'll tell you this for free now. Just a few years ago, I had a totally different mindset about the motherland. I was that dude whereby I thought I knew it all. And I was that dude whereby you can find me in a room and I will give you 1,001 reasons why I would love to be buried in the West. Do you
Oh,
understand me?
wow.
That guy, yeah, I was that guy some years ago. I'll be honest with you that I would champion that conversation, and I will condemn to the T. But then as you unlearn some things, as you relearn, as you educate yourself, as you really understand how the world is wired. That's why I was saying that one of the fundamental problems of a lot of our people is, to start with, people don't really understand how the world we live in is wired. The more you understand how this planet works, you start to think differently.
Mm-hmm. You saying until something. Don't wait for too long. TikTok, TikTok.
Bro, there's nothing to be afraid of, man. I move in my own time. Nobody governs my life, all right? Don't worry about that, man. Don't let anybody control your mental state. Make the right choices, man. This is, do you know, I'm telling you, man, because of the content I make on my platform, do you know the number of people that email me that say, Franklin, I want to go home. I want to go home. And this is why I said at the start of this conversation, so many people don't want to go. Let me tell you, a lot of people just put up a front. They tell you because of Africa, me. It's a lie. The reason why people don't, and I understand, I love my brothers and sisters, it's money, it's finance. You don't need 100 million naira to go to Nigeria. You don't. Or to move to Africa. But of course, sustainability. Don't even, for me, okay, if you ask me now, oh, Franklin, so when you move to Africa, are you going to go and get a job? No, forget it. Don't even bring that conversation. I'm going to Africa to run businesses, multiple businesses, and create employment in the motherland. Yes, I'm looking, by connecting with the likes of Wadimaya, I'm already looking into how I can penetrate Ghana. By connecting with the likes of Juliet, I'm looking into how I can penetrate Gambia. When I sit down in my own little
Mention
box,
Kenya too. Mention Kenya too.
yeah, yeah. So this is how we build the network. It's not impossible. The only thing that will sabotage these ideas and possibilities is if we are dishonest, if we are crooked amongst ourselves. Why do the white people, why do they control the planet? They get money together, they join forces to control all the resources globally. Why can't we do that? So check this. We are YouTubers. My sister is here, African Tigress. So if there are opportunities in Kenya and we cross path with our ideas and we say, right, let's work on this, let's push this idea, let's split it 50-50, the profit, or 60-40, or whatever. You get money, I get money. We push the narrative. We have an idea, we sell it to our brothers and sisters abroad, right? You, because we are trusted entities, you say, oh, okay, I like African Tigress. Oh, this is an investment opportunity, maybe agriculture, maybe whatever. You buy into it. It will be great if our brothers can align with us, they can support us, and we don't let you down. Another major problem that we have in the Black community is lack of trust. Disunity is too much. This is why I keep saying on my platform, the amount of opportunity in Africa is unbelievable. People are just afraid, man. People are afraid. I used to be there. Look, I'll be honest. I'll round up on this. I used to be there. I would sit down. Yo, I can't, man. Hey, I don't think I want to go back. Oh, never. It's mental conditioning, man. Believe me. But hey, the choice is yours, man. To be fair, business is not my thing. I couldn't even sell my money, sell you my money. I like academy. I came back home to do my PhD in University of Abuja, trying to change the syllabus to an Afrocentric one. My brother, I understand everybody wouldn't function business wise, but in there somewhere, you have a PhD. Don't be surprised. There is a business element in everything. As a PhD in academic, there is a business side of academics. Why do you think they run universities? In the front end, people go to university to get educated. There is a business side of things through buying books, paying for materials, paying for university fees, which caters for staff salary and stuff. You may be able to come up with an idea that blesses Africa's educational system, that elevates it. And in the process, you get wonderfully paid and rewarded for it. It's about going to the drawing board and looking into what the problems are and how can you solve a problem, just at least one problem. And boom, there you go. So you may not necessarily be running a business in the front end, but you can be a force to be reckoned with within the academic sector. So
What did it take you to work up?
what did it take me to wake up, right?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. It's it's basically, I think as time went on and I got subjected to some vicious cycle of racism in the UK, it was a rude wake up call. It pretty much mentally projected me into a totally different level of thinking, right? And the first thing that I did was I abandoned religion. I'm not going to apologize for it. It enabled me to exist outside the box and I started to think differently. I'm not your regular African dude. We all come from, family backgrounds where people like to force down your, oh, so you don't believe in Jesus anymore.
What do
Hmm.
you believe
You
in?
think, oh, you think you're bigger than God now. That's not what it's about. I'm a grown man and I'm allowed, as long as I'm not infringing on anybody's fundamental human rights. I'm not doing anything illegal. I don't owe it to you about who and what I believe in. I had to free my mind, and then I started to understand how the society works. And it's like, whoa, most of our people don't understand how things work, because it's work, church, party, work, church, party, home. That's it. So, and the moment I got the rude awakening, then I started to see things. And I'm not sat here telling you that I'm an epitome of knowledge. Okay. I'm still learning. I've done a lot of learning, but I'm still on the pathway of learning. I still watch people on YouTube. You've brought some brothers to your platform that I listen and are like, wow. So I'm still learning, educating myself. But you've got to, man. You've got to. I can't. That's there. And this is why I laugh. I look at people. There is nobody in the West, not the white man, not in your lifetime, not in the generation to come, that would come on their national TV in the UK or the US and say, right, pam, 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 hey, ye, this is the truth about African history. All black people sit in your house. We want to tell you the truth. If you don't get out of your way to go and find out about the truth, nobody's going to tell you. That's a fact. That's a fact.
All right, all right. I don't see any more questions. I'm dropping his YouTube channel. Go ahead, support, subscribe to his YouTube channel.
Oh, thank
He has amazing conversations. Pardon?
I'm saying thank you.
Well, you can speak for yourself. You can tell us about your channel as
All
I'm
right.
dropping
Okay.
the link.
So my channel, Phrankleen, it's pretty eclectic. Okay. I talk about everyday topics that affect, people bang me out emails and they can, tell me their stories. If I like it, I can convert it into, a topic and narrate it and I convert it into a video topic. And I can see a topic myself. It could be a trending topic. It could be something that I feel really, heavy hearted about. And I bring it onto my channel and I talk about it. I just put my own, and I always say it's only advice. Like I say, I'm not an epitome of knowledge, but I feel comfortable. And there's so many wonderful, wonderful people that support my platform and my content and stuff. And that's what it's about. It used to be, I started off on YouTube in 2013. It used to be Nigerian food channel. So people knew me for cooking and all that. But I've always wanted to have like a talk show type thing. So sometime in 2019, I rebranded it, called it Phrankleen. So, but then I did less and less cooking. But I've got over 100 catalog of food recipes anyway in my playlist. If you want to go watch them. But I've been doing the talk show ever since, and it's been great. And but like I said, I might start a separate channel at some point called More Phrankleen, where I'll have more vlogs and cooking and slightly different type of content that people can see. But for now, that's what I'm up to.
Are you a counselor?
Am I what?
A counselor?
Well, like a relationship counselor.
Yeah. coach, or I don't know if they're called coach or relationship counselor.
Why? Why do you say that?
I see sometimes you talk about topics and advice on relationships and all that.
Well, yeah, I have it in me. If somebody wants to consult me, they're gonna have to pay me for my time, innit?
All right. All right. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time. Asante sana. So I'll teach you, I'll leave you teaching you one Swahili word. Do you know asante sana?
No.
So asante sana is thank you so much. Repeat, say asante sana.
Is that in your language?
In Kiswahili.
Asante sana, right?
Yes, and then
Or Swahili, right?
karibu.
Asante sana.
Yeah, so I'll tell you asante sana, you'll say karibu. Asante sana.
Oh, karibu.
Yeah. Well, you did it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all the people who are in the panel as we are starting. I appreciate your time and contribution. Thanks to everybody who super chatted during this stream. I really appreciate your contribution. To everybody who's been in the chat sharing. You also do, I see a lot of people contributing very important points. I get a lot of insight from your comments. I also do appreciate it. And for those ones who are interested in learning Kiswahili, I do offer that in my Patreon. So go ahead and support my channel on Patreon. You can as well support my channel on PayPal. I also have other videos on Patreon. So you can go ahead and support my Patreon. I've dropped the link. Also, don't forget to support Phrankleen on his channel. The link I've been dropping, and I'm dropping it again. So until tomorrow, kwaheri.
Thank you.